Cheers, kid. Cheers. Oh my god. That Espolone's fucking fantastic. Holy shit. Okay. Woo! We're back. And we got our guest, honored guest, Ruby Blue here with us for a fucking debate. Ruby, how you doing?
Great. Happy to be here.
And it's happy to have you on. So, as anyone who has listened to this before, our man Beejapheth is going to be running for Congress. Senate, yes. And he thought it might be a good idea to get some of his ideas out there against what could be viewed as the opposition. So that is why we have invited our friend Ruby Blue to join us. Formerly Ruby Red.
Was never Ruby Red.
Always Ruby Blue, born that way. It's all good. We're going to do a little bit of a debate. So your man Johnny Anchorage has come up with some topics. We got 7 different topics to cover on this. And they are 6 of them at least, are the top concerns of the 2022 midterm voters. So it comes right from what people are most interested in, or what most of the time what people are most upset about. I mean, let's face it. At issue, it's not like you're looking at an issue being like, I just love this so much that I need to, go and vote for it or not change it. So, with that being said, I thought we'd do a little bit of a coin flip here to decide who would go first in the very one, and then we'll alternate. Sound good?
Explain how the whole thing's going to work real quick, just so that everybody...
Oh, yes, the format. Yeah. So we'll go question, asked by myself, and then it will go to whoever the coin flip lands on first. As I said, it'll alternate, and then they'll have their answer. There will be a rebuttal, and then an open discussion at the end of it. I might throw my 2 cents, which is down to 1.5 cents wisdom due to inflation. Just kidding. That's on there too. They both have been given the topics, so they had some time, I think about a week or so, maybe a few days to kind of look into it. You guys had given me a couple of your own. What I'm thinking about that is that if we do have some time at the end, you two can just go off on what you want as that being a final topic, kind of like a conclusion topic. So we got 7 total. What do you think? Should we get rocking?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. Oh, we gotta flip the coin.
Flip the coin first.
Okay, so it's a bar chip. Won't mention the bar, but
Side is heads.
heads will be the name of the bar.
Okay.
Tails will be the 1 bottle, 1 drink side. So
Guess calls it in the
Ruby calls it in the air as she is the guest. First ever debate of leaving Earth. Here we go. Call it in the air.
Heads.
It is heads. Ruby will go first. All right.
Off to a good start.
And completely random out of my tinfoil hat, literally. I don't know if you've seen that. We have these available though. My tinfoil hat. Here we go. First topic.
Before the topic,
This
just
is
let
great.
us know in the chat. You can chat us live.
Oh, yes, we are live. That's right.
There is a bit of a delay, but if you do type in the chat of YouTube, we will get it live.
Yes, we'll say whatever the hell you want to say out there on that one. All right. The very first topic that has come up is guns and crime.
Start off. Not even easing into it.
That's why, I'll say it was probably like maybe the 4th or 5th most important topic, I think, when I wrote them down. Some of them were very similar. There was a lot of economy and inflation ones that I just put into one. So we'll go on this one, all right? Gun violence and mass shootings are both on the rise. In a nation with more guns than people, what is your stance on gun rights / gun control, and what can we do to prevent gun violence? Ruby Red. Ruby Blue.
Ruby Blue. Let's make it very clear that it's blue. I mean, it's a large topic, and I don't think there's one answer. But I think some things that we need to really think about is, in terms of tighter gun control, is just like background checks in every state. Why is that not happening?
Beejapheth?
I agree with the background checks. Yeah.
Well, I brought a poll that actually I went to, your side of things. I went to Fox News. I went to the dark side.
Okay.
I brought it up. And this Fox News, which only put out a poll to the people who watch Fox News, essentially said 87% of their viewers are pro background check for guns.
I saw that. I thought that was probably pretty accurate to what most people feel like.
Yeah, and a 30-day waiting period, 77% of people voted that way. And for the legal age to be 21 was 81% of people. And these are...
I don't agree with the last
we have to assume conservatives. Okay, which ones don't you agree with? The 21?
The 21 and the 30-day waiting period.
I'm not super concerned about the 21. 18 or 21 doesn't concern me that much.
I don't think there should.
You think a 10-year-old should have a gun? Why can't it be in his dad's name?
Why can't it be?
Because a 10-year-old his brain is not even remotely developed.
The problem that I have with all of the gun issues of this country is it's not the gun's fault, it's the person's fault. And we need to work on gun safety training. We have countries that are literally taking their kids and ripping apart guns and putting them back together so that they know them. If we had more gun safety training, then I believe our whole thing would go down. Our whole incidental deaths will go down. The mass shootings might not go down. But you know how you stop mass shootings? Stop having gun safe zones.
But there's been mass shootings where there have been people in the crowds with guns, and the mass shooting continues to happen. It just is... Or what about the mass shootings that are happening and the cops show up with all their guns, and the mass shooting continues? Like that one in the bank. There was an armed security guard. The mass shooting happened.
That is the problem with not hiring the right person. Because if a security guard is armed at a bank, we're there to protect from that exact thing. If you are going to be coward and not do anything, you shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. That's why we need to get all the veterans off the streets and put them into fucking shit like this. If we had a veteran in there with a gun, he would have immediately hated the situation.
Let's say on this though, let's interject. How often would armed guard?
Never.
Not at least the ones that I mean, that one was like in. I mean, that's how it looks like in the movies. You know, like when you go and there's a bank robbery in a movie, there's always a one-armed guard with a little stub pistol, probably
and he's laying on the ground and he's
sleeping.
throwing it over.
Yeah,
and he slides it. But when I go to a bank, I never see any armed guards. I mean, at this point on like previous episode, Brinks trucks when they actually carry the money, those guys have ARs.
Yeah,
those guys are like. Why wouldn't they? That's what I'm just saying. At that point of having an armed guard there, it does matter about what you have. In most places, they really have anything.
but why does the average person need an AR? Can someone answer that question for me?
I don't know if they actually. Personally, I know they don't need one.
You don't need one, but it's your God-given right.
Well,
It's not your God-given right. Well, first off, I don't know where God stands on guns. So
I don't even have a stance on God, so I just say that because
you mean it's a constitutional right.
Correct.
But the Constitution was written, I mean,
and the Constitution was written in such a way so that they couldn't infringe benefits, or not the benefits, couldn't infringe on these rights, knowing that technology was going to get better.
but no one is saying take away guns. I'm saying make it harder to have access to guns.
The problem with having harder access to guns is who's controlling the access.
Well, the government's controlling the access, which is what your problem is. So your problem isn't with background checks or limits. Your problem is that you just don't want the government to infringe on your rights. But then you also said that the Constitution, which is a government document, you're also in favor of that.
It's not a government document. It's a Founding Fathers document that created our government.
I think the Constitution might have came after, but it is still the Founding Fathers who wrote it. I'm gonna look it up.
But they created the government.
One of the things in the Constitution is that our government shouldn't be outgunning the citizens. That is one of the major points of the Constitution.
Sure, but the Constitution also said there should be a separation of church and state, and there isn't one.
How isn't there one?
What do you mean, how isn't there one? All Republicans, not all Republicans, a lot of Republicans are trying to say that women shouldn't have access to abortions because of the Bible.
We're getting off topic, but we have that one coming up, so don't worry. The Constitution was ratified in 19. Some people think it could have been 1787. was written in 1787, ratified in 1788, has been in use since 1789. Now, on that point of the Constitution, it's one of the oldest documents that governs a country. A lot of countries have rewritten their constitutions or gotten new governments. I'm somewhat in favor of doing a little bit of both. And I do think that people, when they look at the Second Amendment of saying it was written so long ago, well, so were the other amendments. They were written to keep free speech back when they were writing it with a piece of feather, basically. Now we have the internet. Now we have cell phones. So they rewrite the laws of the nation based on, hopefully, the Constitution. But, I mean, in my humble libertarian opinion, it's just the money behind all of it. Well, there's never going to be too much. There's always going to be too many guns in this country and people who make money off of having them to ever
let me get
be
back
gone.
to her point of why I don't want the government controlling it. So you said that I don't mind more restrictions. I think they should, honestly, I think we should have a background check and a mental health stability check.
We absolutely should.
I think those are two things that we absolutely should enforce right now. But the access part is the problem. Because as soon as you limit access to anyone, the government is going to limit access to everyone. And that has been proven time and time again throughout the history of the government.
But if the government isn't controlling it, who do you want to control it?
Third party.
But who is that third party?
Create it.
But
the NRA.
Who's gonna? Okay, well, that's
Woo, baby! It's that subjectively could be already controlling some of it.
Then you have to go down to his money, and it's all about money for the NRA. They're just gonna push more guns. They want more money.
Okay, that's also another topic. So we'll get to the economic portion of that later. But I would want a third party. I honestly make a third party of. I'm full-heartedly for veterans. Make a full third-party group full of veterans. They are knowledgeable about guns. They know how to dismantle them. They know how to clean them. They know how to use them. They know how to use them deadly. They know how to use them so they don't kill the person. So take that third-party group, make all veterans, and have a standard. And if you don't meet the standard of this third-party assessment, then you don't get a gun.
Who funds that group? Because if we fund it, then it becomes a government, right? Then it's like your taxes, then it is part of the government.
Correct. But I think there are things that we can take out of the government funding that we can put into this.
I don't disagree, but then it becomes, if we are funding it, it becomes a government organization.
Correct, but I think we need... I think we need more transparency is the problem.
What if in a way that was almost, and this could be taken out of context for sure, but like reparations to the NRA, that they themselves the donation that also have that type of service that's oversee, and I like the idea of having the veterans in there too as well. Also having psychiatrists also have a play into it.
Well, we have to, because
it would be more than just veterans, but have to be something that
yeah, we would need 100% full transparency from the beginning.
Well, I agree, because here's the thing: is everyone wants to talk about mass shootings because that's what's happening every day in this country, but the most deaths from guns is from suicide. So we have to, if we're concerned about guns in general, then we have to have some sort of mental health evaluation before we're handing out a gun to someone, because, I mean, we're all humans. We don't know how to control our emotions. If someone is having a really bad day and they're not feeling it anymore, and they have quick access to a gun, you can just walk in, hand your ID, get a gun, and kill yourself. I mean, who did that benefit?
I want to say, though, as well, I'll just real quick, on the side of, I agree, because they just have to have more of the mental health evaluation everywhere. I said it earlier, we live in a state where it's pretty tough to do. Not possible. Hopefully, said I've told people I own an AR was processing background check.
Why are none of our mics?
What?
Mine's red.
Yours red?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine's red.
So why is my mic insensitive?
They did take our episode down.
Ooh.
Which one?
We had GP. Which after it came out, what's it like a glorious poem. descriptive, they cut it off. Literally everything just shut down. Not working.
Jordan, unplug your mic and plug it back in. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
It happens.
Your fucking mic has been beautiful.
Okay. Howdy doody. Howdy fucking doody. Oh, we don't.
We're still rolling, but why is your mic on? Your mic on?
Mine's red, whatever that means.
Take a shot.
I'm not disclosing
For live.
anything.
You haven't.
I did? What did I say?
I'm not gonna say no. Alright, I'm not gonna take a shot.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad. Why is this not fucking working now? All right, now we got something. All right, talk.
Hey, what we doing?
And now it's gone.
Oh shit! After the wide receiver. Breaking news.
What is going on with this fucking thing?
Justin Shorter.
All right, we got power.
Is it working?
Now it's working.
Bills selected wide receiver Justin Shorter with high school. Okay, underperformed in college. We get
Still
it.
working?
Yeah, it's still
All right.
working.
It's good looking. Rolling around with Josh Allen.
Why is it cut out?
J.A.
I'm just going to
motherfuckers.
keep a close eye on this. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
And we're back to another episode of Updates on the Battery.
These are like the 2 points that, because you, circling back, you said that it's your constitutional right to own a gun.
Correct.
But, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying no constitutional right is unlimited. So everyone's talking about free speech. We have free speech. That could be up for debate, but I think we have free speech. But you also can't yell fire in a movie theater. You can't. There's a court case against it. You can't do it.
That whole point is debatable. I mean, you can't say that, right? But I'm saying it's used as a vague term to cover a lot of things that could be you know what I mean, like disregarded in some cases.
Yeah.
It's up for opinion.
It's up for opinion, but the court, for now, unless it gets changed, that was the court case. That is law. You cannot yell fire in a movie theater. So I'm using that point to say that no constitutional right is unlimited. So for the Second Amendment, we can have some sort of limit to it. I'm not saying take it away, but there can be some sort of limit to it. I don't understand why the average person needs an AR.
New York State has put their own limits on it. So you don't like those limits? You want more limits than New York State?
I mean, I don't understand why the average person needs an AR.
Yet. Again,
Give it 3 years, and you'll understand perfectly why everybody needs an AR.
But why?
Because it's not so much that you need it, it's the fact that you need something that can protect yourself if shit really hit the fan. Because what happens when you have a shotgun and a pistol against an AR?
But who are you against? You mean you're against the government?
Or some other army that invades?
So you want to prepare for war?
I want to prepare. I want to prepare to defend my land, because this is my fucking land, and this is my house, and this is my family. And if you fuck any of them up, I'm gonna fuck you up. That's pretty much my stance. And I don't even own an AR yet.
But why do you need an AR for that?
Because a shotgun is great for home defense if you have 1 to 3 intruders. After you get to 3, it's no good no more, because everybody knows you have a shotgun and they're gonna evade.
I guess I'm saying the chances of that happening, which it could happen, but the chances of that happening versus the negatives of everyone having an AR don't seem to line up.
What are the negatives of everybody having an AR? If every single citizen had an AR, we would have way less gun violence. No. I don't think so. I don't think humans can control their emotions. I think someone cuts you off, you get mad, you pull out your AR, and you start shooting people. You don't have faith in humanity at all.
I mean, I don't have faith in some parts of humanity.
Which parts are those?
The people who can't pass background checks or can't pass a mental health evaluation and will get handed an AR. I don't have faith in those people. I don't have faith.
Right now, where you live, that does not happen.
In New York State, but it happens in other states.
You know how it does happen? Is they get them on the streets.
But it happens in other states, and you can come to this state and do whatever you want.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. You can get an AR in another state and drive to this state.
You can and do whatever you want, but
that's not legal. It's already illegal,
that's
right?
Illegal.
That's what he's saying. You're trafficking guns across. You cannot take a gun across the border. It's very illegal. So if you're already going to do something that illegal,
it's already illegal. So what else do you want to do?
So murder. That's the thing.
But I'm saying it's an easier access. I'm just saying it's easier access if everyone has access to it.
I'm 100% with you. Everybody needs to do background checks and mental health stability checks. I'm 100% with you. Every single state needs to do this.
Right.
100%. But until we get there, it literally is, some states are a free-for-all until they get up to the point. And that is kind of what we need to drag these people up to. And I don't understand how anybody is against it. The U.S. populace isn't against it. So, therefore, if any Republican in the Senate, Congress, even the president, if you aren't for it and the populace is for it, you need to get the fuck out of office.
But didn't the governor of Florida just make it very easy for people in Florida to get guns?
I don't know if he made it very easy, but he made it so that you can conceal carry without a permit.
Which
I can look that up.
Is making it a little bit easier. Walk around with a gun. Do
you know how hard it is to hit anything with a pistol?
Yeah, I shot a pistol one time. I literally, out of 20 shots, zero times that I hit the beer can.
It's very hard to hurt anybody with a pistol.
So then why do you need the pistol if you're not going to even hurt the target that's coming at you?
You got to be trained. You got to be trained to do it, yeah.
Like I said,
everyone should be trained to do it, almost like a DMV.
Back to gun safety training. Everybody needs training.
I agree.
Once you get the gun, I think you should go through a training class. You should be
required to get trained on it, yeah.
Yeah, you should go through a training class.
I agree with all that. I'm just saying what I don't agree with. If you want the gun, I do think there's a lot of things you have to go through. The training class, the background checks, all that. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is I don't think that everyone needs to get handed a gun when they're 18 or that we need more guns out there.
I don't think everybody should be handed a gun at 18. I think there should be more guns out there. But I think the way that I think there should be more... T-Rex is my wife. She told me that I say things and then I don't explain myself. So excuse me if I say something shocking. I will try to explain myself. But I believe that there should be more guns out there. But the way that you're describing the amount of guns out there, most of the guns are owned, like 12 guns to one person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the number of guns that are out there are, yes, we have more guns than people, but we have more guns per one single person. So we have multiples. Like I have 3 guns. Johnny Anchors, you have 2?
And I had
3
0.
or 4, and you have 0. So between us, we are already still in the positive. So I think if we get more qualified, more mentally sane, more training into the hands of the people that want the guns, then we should be fine. The problem that you are talking about is already illegal. The people that want the guns that don't go through the proper channels are already obtaining them illegally. Therefore, all of the gun safety things that you want to put into place where you can't get a gun is just making it more vulnerable for homeowners and families to defend themselves against the people that are already getting them illegally.
But
we need to crack down on the illegally ownership, not the legal ownership.
The things that I'm talking about are only true in some states.
I have 10 states. That's how much I looked it up. It's 10 states out of 50 as of April 28th this year that restrict assault weapons. This must have just came out yesterday.
So in 40 states.
It's, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Illinois, and Washington. Sure.
Can you look up, out of those 10 states, or out of all 50 states, where are the most mass shootings happening? Because I bet you they correlate.
But it's those causation doesn't need correlation. Like, you can say the most mass shootings happen in New York. Oh, well, New York is so restrict. But there's more people live in New York than if you combine 8 states.
I'm not even saying New York. I'm saying Chicago.
So
Chicago has the strictest gun laws.
Yeah, but
and
Indiana,
they have the most murders per capita.
But Indiana is right next to Chicago, and that you can walk over there and grab your gun and go back to Chicago and shoot someone.
Which is illegal already.
But but it doesn't matter because...
Why doesn't it matter?
Because you're trying to correlate that you're saying that Chicago or Illinois has the strictest gun laws, but they're not getting their guns in Illinois.
Because they can't. So therefore, the legally abiding citizen cannot get a gun in Illinois. Therefore, the illegal person goes to Indiana, gets their gun illegally, travels across borders illegally into Illinois to harm the people that cannot legally get a gun in their state.
But what if Indiana's gun laws were just as strict as Illinois'?
Then you would have the same problem in Indiana.
But you wouldn't, because if all 50 states have strict gun laws, you would not.
But the gun laws don't make the illegals stop getting guns.
On your point of the mass shootings based on states, it somewhat correlates, but it really doesn't.
Okay.
So the top one by far is California. Like, it's twice as much as the next two.
I don't think mass shootings was what I wanted, but that's okay.
This is the number of mass shootings in the United States between 1982 and April 2023 by state. California is leading by a huge margin.
California also has the most people.
Yeah, but the next two are Texas and Florida. So,
okay.
They have the open ones.
The thing that I have a problem when you try to make all 50 states be as strict as Chicago or Illinois, then you are inhibiting your citizens from protecting themselves, which is exactly what's happening in Illinois. The illegal people are always going to get guns. You
Correct.
need to crack down on the illegal ownership, not the legal ownership. The illegal ownership is a big problem in the United States. I am 100% on board with you there.
Correct.
But if you keep the legal ownership at a easy pace, the illegal ownership goes down because nobody wants to get shot if you know that you're entering a home that has a gun. Nobody's going to enter a home.
But how do you...
All crime rates go down.
How do you crack down on illegal ownership? And the only people that can crack down on illegal ownership is the government, and you don't want the government to crack down.
I am all for police. I am not all for government.
Well, I'm not all for police. So.
On that note, we are going to move on to a new topic.
That's good.
Because I feel like we could go for days on the guns.
We could.
And we have some good ones laying around here for the rest of it.
Let's move on.
Do you guys want any other closing statements on it? Do you feel like...
Well, I actually think we agree more than we disagree. Like
100%. Yeah. I just think that you want more laws to inhibit... You think that more laws will keep guns off streets, where I think more laws will keep guns out of law-abiding citizens. So we are on the same page where we think we need more standards. But I think the way about getting there is harder than we think, because I don't understand why these Republicans aren't all for this.
Yeah.
That's where I don't understand.
That's where the NRA comes in.
Like the people, the dollars are pumping in saying no, we don't want this. Yeah. But the populace is saying we do.
The populace is
Ruby on yours.
Back to the Fox News is,
and if the populace is for it, then put it through.
Right, but the Republicans won't because they want the money from the NRA.
And that's a problem, and I'm sure we're going to get to that. So.
All right. Awesome. Good start, everybody. On to the next topic. We have, all right, this one may be a little bit easier than the last one. Not as controversial, but still up there. We'll see where it goes. Healthcare. All right.
Oh, it's my first turn, right?
So, yes, you will start, Beejapheth. You will be the initial one, and this is the question I have for you both.
All right.
One of the top priorities of any American is receiving quality yet affordable health care. What changes, if any, would you make to health care to make it either more affordable, more effective, or both?
I would make health care exactly what it is, health care. Right now it is health for profit. It is you get sick and we are going to give you a drug that may or may not help you, and if it doesn't help you, we'll give you another drug, which just pumps money into the chain. The first thing that I would advocate for is getting all of pharmaceuticals out of Washington, D.C. We need to get all of pharmaceutical money out of Washington, D.C. We need to make it a profession that also makes money, but is also not heroin. It is heroism. Is that it? Being a hero.
Okay. Heroism.
Yeah. Trying to save the lives of people. Let's find a cure for cancer. Let's actually find cures for these diseases, and because we all know that they're fucking out there. Like, we have people that have beat cancer with the chemotherapy. Okay, but the survival rate is terrible. And the only reason we aren't looking for other things is because there's so much money in the chemotherapy. So let's just get all of money out of politics, of pharmaceuticals, and let's actually make this for helping people, not for destroying people's lives. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, Ruby Blue, your response.
I actually agree. I'm involved in the field, and I don't have any disagreements. I do think that the pharmaceuticals are pushing drugs. I do think that another issue is insurance companies who say you can or cannot get an MRI, or you can or cannot have this X-ray. You can or cannot.
Shit, how much money do you pay for them anyways?
Yeah,
but they're not covered. You still spend more.
Like, I'm actually with you. I think the only part that I disagree with is I don't know if we have the cure for cancer.
Maybe we do. Oh, that's our first one. Welcome to the conspiracy, Den.
Like, that's a conspiracy, and I don't know that if we have the cure for cancer.
That's an old one. That's been around forever.
And I don't think we do. I do agree that chemo makes a lot of money, and it makes a lot of people money, but I don't agree that we have the cure and we're not putting it out there so that people will
let
die.
me ask you
real quick on a stat, because you had mentioned this, the amount of money, and this is I'll just give you the top 5 lobbying industries that they spend. I want to say it's per year. It looks like in the year of 2022, pharmaceuticals is by and large the most. They spent $373 million just that year alone on lobbying for U.S. Congress. The second was electronics manufacturing and equipment, which is interesting. Probably Apple and all the devices, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Google.
Meta, sorry.
Insurance was number 3. So insurance runs everything. They're every other commercial on TV. Securities and investments, so that's your classic BlackRocks, and then real estate, which is Vanguard, and the rest of the people who own all the real estate. So yeah, that's all the people that are sending money to our politicians.
I don't have enough. So only going through the insurance system, I don't have enough knowledge on the insurance system. I know it's a scam. I just don't know how they're scamming it. I know that I pay a shit ton of money, and then as soon as something comes up, they say, fuck you. And that's fucked up, and I think that's a scam.
Correct.
But I would need to do a deep dive into figuring out how to fix it. So I don't know how you would fix it. I think insurance is a great thing, because without insurance, we would have to go to a universal healthcare, and I don't see us doing
Well, let's see. Are you on board with universal healthcare, Ruby?
I'm on board with parts of universal healthcare. So, I do think everyone should be insured. I don't think everyone should have the same insurance. Like, if you're not working, I do think you should be insured.
No matter what.
Because the problem is that person, if the person who is homeless is going to the ED, whether they have insurance or not. And in this country, you're being treated whether you have insurance or not. You just get handed a bill afterwards.
Right.
So I'm saying, if we're going to go into debt, if the hospital is going to go into debt treating someone, like $80,000 on this homeless person who deserves treatment, they might as well just have insurance. So at least some of it is covered. At
least some of it's covered by the companies who make the most money.
At least it's covered for emergency.
In a way that makes sense, because when I think of it, it's like, okay, well, everyone should be insured, like you said, no matter if you're homeless or you're a millionaire, and that the people who work, and depending on your job or what your work gives you, you have better health coverage, insurance.
Yes.
But those people who are working, and especially on the higher end, like the upper class, they can't afford those copays and the extra fees, when the people that aren't working, or the people that are on the lower side and they pay a lot of their paycheck towards it, they're the ones who are stuck paying higher bills. So it's like, how would universal healthcare help that? All it really would do is just make, if you truly thought so, everybody equal in the pecking order. But I don't know how that is like logistically possible with the amount of people that we have in the country. Like right now, like what you said is what we currently have. Everyone should just be covered with some type of universal healthcare. But at the end of the day, they're still going to be the ones paying more money with the copays and shit.
I think the homeless person isn't going to the doctor to get to do a copay. Like, I think you want to cover them for emergencies.
Okay.
I don't think the homeless person is going to be like, I don't know, like I'm having palpitations, going to like a primary care doctor, I think they need to be covered for the emergency room.
Okay.
Because I don't think a homeless person is just walking into a doctor's office and being like, can I have my neck checked?
Yeah.
But I do think 40-year-old woman who's like thinks she has hyperthyroidism is going to the doctors, then therefore having to pay the copay.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. So make almost like emergency situations.
Emergency
Life-saving operations should be
covered
for everyone.
Yeah.
Just why would you have to pay for a life-saving operation or something like that?
Because you're gonna be treated no matter what.
That insurance company that pays $158.45 million a year to lobbyists. Maybe they don't need to lobby in a fucking Congress anymore, and they can start covering it there.
So that's their donation to society.
That's their real donation to society, not to their fucking politicians. But you donate that extra $160 million a year that you spend, and fucking send it instead to the people who need life-saving operations. It's a start. I think it's a fucking start.
If you get it out of politics, it's got to go somewhere.
I knew we were gonna agree on that one.
Yeah.
Even fucking pharmaceuticals. So you got
375 million
and 375. Yeah. So you got 500 mil of
a year.
Could be free emergency care for people that are underprivileged.
I'm gonna keep this up because I feel like it's gonna come up again. I'm gonna keep these stats up here. Do you guys want to go on that one at all, or are you good?
I think we're pretty
in lockstep agreement with that one. All right, maybe we'll get another dicey one here. All right, here we go. Topic number 3.
Trying to make it dicey.
Make it dicey. Make it dicey. Make it dicey. All right, this is kind of like a catch-all, and I'm interested to hear what you guys both have to say. And the topic is inflation/economy.
Oh boy.
Okay, so getting back onto the questions. This is the first one that I wrote. And I brought up a report. I saw this the other day. Recent reports have shown the U.S. economy has grown 1.1% in the first quarter, which was lower than expected for this year. We've heard endlessly about inflation the past 3 years. Who or what is to blame for the current state of the economy, and what can be done to fix it? Ruby, you have the honors of starting.
Well, I guess my first question is, I hear a lot about inflation these past 6 months. All I'm hearing about is everything is so expensive. I don't disagree, but if you look at the trend from our parents' generation to our generation, inflation has gone down.
Okay.
So, like,
I'm gonna look that up.
If when our parents were trying to buy a house, there were people who were buying a house where the interest rate was 24%. And it currently is 6 to 7%.
That's true. They were a lot higher back in the day.
They were a lot higher. So, I'm hearing a lot about inflation.
The problem with that...
Hold on. Keep going.
I was interrupting. Yep. You're right. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I guess I'm hearing a lot about inflation, but the trend is that it's going down. And then now, in the past few years, it fluctuates up and down, but it's still not even close to where it was.
Okay.
And who to blame? I mean, I don't think you could blame one person. It's all of us.
I say like who or what. It's almost like a collective thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's all of us. It's Republicans and Democrats and us and how we want to live our lives, and we lease everything and we rent. It's just everything. I don't think you can blame one person.
All right, sorry.
Oh boy, you gotta look.
In certain circumstances, there is no one person to blame. In this circumstance, there is a multitude of people to blame. But our woes that are happening right now are simply for the fact that we're sending billions of dollars overseas for nothing. We're sending billions of dollars of overseas just to cover up a oopsie by the current administration. The economy, I know a way to fix it immediately. Get out of the Paris Agreement. Get out of NATO. Fix our economy. Done. We are funding both of those immensely, more than anybody else in the world. We are funding both of those programs. We need to withdraw from those programs. First of all, NATO is a new NWO. We don't need to fucking be a part of that bullshit. They already fucking established that the WHO is now in charge of a pandemic. And guess what? That means the WHO, which is mostly in charge of China, is now demanding that we have a vaccine, even if it's not tested. That's what the WHO is going to do. We need
Is that
to
a
get out of
prediction?
what?
Prediction?
No, it's
already happened.
WHO is already the pandemic ambassador for the world, pretty
Okay.
much. So we need to get out of NATO and we need to get out of the Paris Climate Agreement. If we get out of those two, we have trillions of dollars in funding where we can actually fix the infrastructure of our country. We can get the people actually back to work. And I don't feel like people don't want to work. I feel like people don't want to work for shit. They don't want to fucking go to work for 40 hours and still not be able to afford food. They don't want to go to work for 40 hours and still get the eviction notice on their fucking door. And all of that stems from what the fuck happened during this goddamn pandemic. Nobody has any fucking money. The government is asking for their fucking money back from what they gave us, and we're getting fucked. And the middle class is fucking disappearing. And if you don't believe me, just look at how much shit is. You can either be homeless and get a shit ton of money from the government, or you can be rich. There is no in between.
Okay.
You can fucking struggle on a daily basis like me and my wife are. We are living paycheck to paycheck, which is 90% of America. And that's not good. The point about having a 24% interest rate, but they were buying homes at $30,000. You can't get a home for $30,000 that's livable anymore. It has to be at least 70 grand. So yes, the interest rates were higher back then, but they were also dealing with way less money.
Well, they're making less money.
Correct.
People are
Inflation
making more
rate
money.
was 3.9% average from 1940 until now. And I think the highest it was like you said, during the 70s. In the 80s, it was up to 13 to 14% yearly average of inflation.
But what's the inflation of purchases to the inflation of wages?
Somebody look that up too.
If you could.
Man, you guys are throwing a lot at me. All right.
Because so like a car back then cost $4,000. A house cost 30. Now a car costs 40 and a house costs 125 for a decent house. So it's exponential from what they were paying to what their wages were. And our wages have not gone up that high.
Yeah, I know that I've seen those stats before. Like wage growth has never, like, since 1971, and that's when they got off the gold standard. That's when they created the fiat dollar, when they could just start pumping money whenever they wanted. And nowadays, since 2020, they've had
The petrodollar.
Yeah. So like the
fiat dollar. Yeah.
So since then, inflation has a little bit, like, steadily every year. The value of the dollar has gone according to wages that have pretty much stayed the same, but have increased at a much, much lower rate until probably recently. I think was 2020. They kind of put things in perspective, and now you have to pay people a somewhat livable wage,
Which I am
they won't
not
work.
against. I think that the wages in this country are fucking terrible. Minimum wage honestly should go up.
But it's
because
Democrats who want minimum wage to go up, not Republicans.
I understand that, and that's why I'm center. I have to be Republican because of some of my stances.
You don't have to be, though.
I have to be Republican.
You don't. Democrats aren't coming for your guns. They're not. They're not.
Do we know that for sure?
We just agreed that Republicans should be for more control.
I agree with you.
Yes. Yes, that's not. It's a general. I don't like generalizing all people into one or the other because, first of all, I'm not either, and second of all, it's like you're on your own. Everyone always talks about like a spectrum, like from like one side to the other, right? I truly think instead of using a line of just being on one side of this line or one side of this line or somewhere in the middle, it's more of a circle.
It definitely is.
Like the circle on either side where they meet is whether you're a populist at the top or you're a neoconservative at the bottom. And then wherever you land on that, inside of that circle is really where it is. I hate like the whole square thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense because people agree on things a lot more often than they disagree. But because if you're on one side or this side or the other, no. It's a fucking circle.
So the reason I'll give you into a little bit of a reasoning why I want to run. The reasoning I want to run is because I'm center. Because my feeling, it may not be true, but my feeling is that only the extremes get elected. Therefore, I may agree with you, but I don't agree with them. Because they're coming for my guns. I wholeheartedly believe that the Democrats are trying to control us. Therefore, in order to control us, what's the easiest way to control us? Make your enemy defenseless.
But the last, Obama, everyone said that Obama was coming for everyone's guns, but he didn't. He didn't. He did not make.
Guys, we're past the gun issue. But keep going. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying he didn't make it harder to get guns. He didn't go. I don't know.
Obama also didn't originally agree with same-sex marriage.
No, he didn't. But everyone said that he was coming for the guns, and he didn't. Everyone says the Democrats are coming for guns, but we've had Democrat presidents, and nothing has changed with guns.
Because we fought hard.
I don't think you did. I just think the NRA fought hard, and they just gave money.
That may be the case, but they fought hard because there shouldn't. I believe there should be minuscule changes, like the background. I know we're off guns, but the background checks and the mental health. But the main problem is the money. If we need to get the money out of politics, if we get the money out of the NRA, out of all of the top 5 things that go into politics, if we get all of that money out of that, and guess what? If we put them on an actual wage, not this $250,000, like what normal citizen has $250,000? Nobody. That is the top 1% of this country. Whether you like to admit it or not, I think it's $188,000 is the top 1% of this country. That's fucking disgusting.
I will look that up.
But so I agree, the wages need to be redistributed. I don't think that you need to make bonuses if you're already making a substantial amount of fucking money. So all of these bonuses that are going to these stockholders that are already billionaires, why can't you fucking take a cut so that everybody can fucking survive?
597,815. So about $600K.
600K
is the top.
Okay,
1%.
my bad. Top 1%. So the top 2% goes down to 188.
It actually went down. It used to be 823 in 2020, and then I think Investopedia. I don't know. That's what courtesy of them. It's about 600,000.
So if I win the Senate race, I immediately go from middle class to top 2% of the country. That is insane to me. Insane. And then you think about all of the money that they're putting into stocks that they already know about. Like, they are just pumping money into themselves and taking it straight
Correct. Anyone
from
in
us.
Congress shouldn't be able to trade.
I 100% agree with
I
that.
don't.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm not. I think we agree here. I'm just saying that you're saying all these things, but they just seem more like left-leaning ideas.
Because I have...
But you won't vote left. But you're coming up with left-leaning ideas.
They are left-leaning ideas, but I don't believe that if you have that money, that you should be taxed more. I want to redo. So this comes back to
inflation.
Economy.
Yeah, economy. And
Let's go
inflation.
back to inflation.
Yep.
And so
this was the number one topic, by the way. Number one concern of anyone was economy-related questions.
We need to rethink taxes. In Johnny Anchor's eyes,
No one should be taxed.
Taxation is fucking theft,
No one should be
motherfuckers.
taxed. That's what he said.
So
not on income, especially not on income.
What I would propose is we go to Florida, we go to Texas, and figure out how the fuck they're doing it without any state tax.
Because their what they pay for
Property
their
taxes.
property tax is absolutely insane.
Okay.
So it's all coming back to the government. The state is still getting it. They're just not getting it from income. They're getting it from other places.
So where I come from, or not where I come from, where I believe is that we need a flat tax, and it could be an income tax, it could be property tax, but we need a flat tax, flat line. No matter, like, whether you make this much or you purchase a home at this much, this is the tax rate. And no matter what, it's either, let's say 10% because it's easy. So if you purchase a home at $70,000, 10% goes to taxes. If you purchase a home at $700,000, 10% goes to taxes. If you purchase a home at $70 million, 10% goes to taxes.
The problem is 10% affects people differently. The person who's purchasing their home at $70,000 probably can't afford the 10%, where the person who's purchasing their home at $7 billion can afford the 10%.
but it goes down as it should.
At least you're saying it's just like
you're taking the exact same hit as everybody. Yeah, I get what you're saying, where the person's paying $7 billion for a home has the extra resources to do it, but you're also taking the hit for 10%. So the person at the bottom is taking a less of a hit, but you're still taking a hit. But I'm not saying, so that would be the taxes for everything. So I'm more saying this is probably more income, because properties, the sales of properties goes ups and downs, and you can't have your economy.
Not to mention lower classes aren't buying as much property
Correct.
as the
now we're renting and we're leasing,
higher.
like you said.
Yeah.
But if we get to an income tax where it's a flat tax, say 5% of your wages is just going straight to taxes, and that's it.
I thought you said zero. Flat tax, zero. Sorry.
No.
Keep going.
5% goes to taxes, and that's it. So, and we could have, so let's say 7% in total. You get 2% to your state, 5% to your federal government, and that's it. You got 7%. No matter what you make, you're taking 7% out and you're giving it to the government. That's it. I think that'll be way easier to file your taxes. I don't think you will ever get behind, because if you're not making money, you're not paying taxes. So we need to figure out a way to figure that out, to be honest, because I don't have all the answers, and I will tell you that straight up. I don't. But we would need to figure out a way of people not working and what the fuck's coming out of that, what they're doing for taxes. And we would need to figure out a way for all the subsidies. But I think 7% out of everybody's income would be more than enough to pay for everything that we need.
Well, the subsidy part, though, you mentioned it. I don't know your view on that whole part of it. Like, some of the stuff that they give money to, like, perfect example. I'm a sports fan. Love the Buffalo Bills.
Go fuck themselves.
The tax dollars that they fucking took from the state to build a new stadium when the man's a fucking billionaire. Like, okay, I'm all for the free market, and I'm all for Terry Pagula probably paying less taxes than he has to pay for operating in New York State. But you shouldn't also be subsidized when you probably have the money. Just, figure it out. Frack another fucking hole, goddammit. Like, that's the free market. No subsidies. No, we're picking and choosing fucking winners. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shit that drives me crazy, that between the corporations and the top people that have the money and they're able to get subsidized, they're now going to be inadvertently, even if, Terry Pagula, maybe he is. I think he's honestly liberal personally. I think he's more of a Democrat than a Republican, but they're now going to be indebted to those politicians who gave them those subsidies.
Correct.
So it's a revolving door no matter what you do. I just think that, like, dude, if you're going to be paying tax on something, it's to fucking, operate the fire department, operate the fucking police department, keep the lights on, like, you know what I mean?
Keep
like that.
Kids educated.
Keep education. Exactly. They just, and that's the whole part of it. I don't know how you would want to respond to that, Ruby, but like the fact that I think that just the total money, the overall allocation of resources is not being utilized properly.
No, not at all. We don't disagree there. It's not at all. We should be putting more money into education and less money into whatever they're putting money into right now.
And we need to get rid of all these subcommittees. We don't need a subcommittee upon a subcommittee upon a subcommittee to decide if we need a new sidewalk. We need a new fucking sidewalk. Hire Bob Joe on the fucking street.
Listen, that was Biden's infrastructure plan.
Oh, no.
What was?
You want a new sidewalk, that's Biden's infrastructure plan.
I just use it as an example. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Did you have any opinions on the Biden Inflation Reduction Act? Because we're on inflation.
I don't know if I know enough to have, like, I read it. I don't know.
Let me educate you. So
hold on, let her go.
No, go ahead. You can go.
The Inflation Reduction Act pretty much just gave trillions of dollars to climate change activist groups. That's all it did. It had nothing to do with inflation, and I think it even gave some money to Ukraine.
I don't know. I don't know if that. I do know that it was moving it towards, like, it had nothing to do with the name, basically, which is fine. And honestly, if you guys wanted to wrap up on the inflation, just to talk like actual economic issues, because a lot of the stuff we just touched on is still in the pile that I'm going to pick from. But
let's do it.
All right. So let's see. I hope it was one that we were just talking about. Nope, I'm not. We're not doing that one. Sorry. All right, perfect.
Yeah, we're a great moderator here.
No one saw that. All right, climate change. It was in there.
Oh, boy.
So this one I know is probably could go either way, and I know how Beejapheth feels. So this should be a good one.
I'm first, right?
Yeah, you are up.
Oh boy.
So
I don't mean to offend you.
all right, here we go. Extreme weather and other indicators would imply that the world's climate is changing and could be a threat to mankind. How serious is this threat, and what can be done, if anything, to reverse the change?
The threat is 0, and we can stop manipulating the weather to convert a change.
Yes, I love that. I think you got that came out.
I think that's a conspiracy.
Yes, that's why I rang the bell.
You don't believe in HARP?
I don't think that you can say the threat is 0.
Why not?
Because there's scientific evidence showing that the Earth is getting warmer, showing that we're having more natural disasters than we have. So I don't think you can...
According to what?
According to the history of all the natural disasters.
How far back?
We can go back... Let's go back to the 200 years.
That's not far enough.
Well, I'm just talking about this country. This country's only been around for 200 plus years.
It's not far enough.
Okay, we can go back however we want, but we're...
The problem is you have to go back thousands.
We can go back thousands of years, but it's still getting warmer, and we're still facing more natural disasters.
It's a wave. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. We've had multiple ice ages on this planet without us being here. We've gone through peaks and valleys of warm and cold. And if we go back 200 years, that time frame is not big. We need to go back 20,000.
We can go back thousands of years and go back to the ice age.
I got 2,000. I got over 2,000. I'll try to get it, but keep going because I don't have it up yet.
We can go back 2,000 years. We have had ice ages before we were even here. But if we can prevent the next ice age, why would we not do that?
The problem that I have is, and the reason that I say the threat is 0, is because we can get United States to net 0 and have no impact on climate.
Well, you need the world to be on the same page.
How are we going to enforce what the world is doing?
We enforce what the world is doing every day. Where are army bases?
100%. But no one enforced us on our Industrial Revolution, so how are we going to enforce anybody on theirs?
I'm just saying, we, as the country that we are, we make decisions for this world every day.
I don't disagree with you.
We control what other countries do all the time.
I kind of disagree with you.
Where are all of our army bases? Are they all in America?
Fuck no.
Okay, so we have presence in a lot of other countries.
We have presence, yes.
We are controlling a lot of things in other countries.
We used to, yes.
I think we might still be in some countries.
In like a third of what we were before.
Guys, geopolitics is in there. Keep going, though.
Sorry.
But I'm just saying, I agree that it can't just be the United States. But you're saying that we don't have control over what other countries do, and I'm saying we absolutely do.
The problem is we have control of what other countries do in the wrong aspects. We don't care. We care about control. That is what everybody in every other country is saying about us. Is we go there, and yes, we have control of these governments. But that's what we have, is control. We don't care what you do, but we have the control. We tell you what to do.
Correct. But
it doesn't have anything to do with business. It's all about military.
Correct. But if we wanted everyone to care about climate change, we could have that influence in other countries.
We could, but we don't care. That's the problem.
I agree we don't care. We don't care about climate change at all.
The politicians say that they care very deeply, but then go to these other countries and say, I don't care what the fuck you do, burn those tires. Fuck it. That's a big problem. But I think as climate change, this is where I am right-leaning. Climate change as a whole isn't a thing. Since I was a little kid, we have been told that we're going to be acid rain, we're going to be underwater, the oceans are going to dry up, the ice caps are melting, the ocean is going to be too salty because they're going to dry up, it's going to be too freshwater because the ice caps are melting. All of these atrocities are going to happen within the next 10 years if we don't do anything. Nothing has happened. And we have done nothing.
I just think it's a slow burn.
But how come all of these predictions that they are predicting have not happened?
I'm going to say in a 2,000-year model, just real quick, I think, like you said, you have to go back further than 2000. 2000 is pretty much like the hockey stick. That's the one that I think was Randall Carlson when he went on there, the guy from Rogan's podcast, because he's the big, it's all cyclical guy. Yeah. This is the one he always talks about, because if you take it from the last 2,000 years, it clearly shows that it is going straight up. And then I think the last...
You can't say that the threat is 0, because it was a pattern, and now it's just linear up.
Yeah.
Hold on, shit, because I got to go to the other one. That one's the one over like the last 400,000 years. So it is a straight. This is my big thing about it. I think you can't deny the fact that the temperatures are rising. That's a scientific fact.
100%.
How much of our human involvement is what's causing it?
Zero.
Is the real? Well, that's the question. I don't think it's zero personally. I think it's
Zero.
somewhere in the range of 0 to like maybe 30 or 40%, and most of it is just well beyond our control. That we're just now on this next part of the hockey stick. Like we're now going to the next part, and we're not really doing much to stop it. That's one of the things that me and Beejapheth also don't agree on. But I think that there's things that it's not the things that we're doing have really nothing to do with helping the climate or save the earth. It's just another way to pass money to somebody else.
I don't disagree.
I'm just
the part that I disagree with is I don't think you can say the threat is zero. Like there's
threat level 0, starring Beejapheth.
So I think that the way to get past climate change is to go into these countries and be civil and give them what they need. But we will not do that because we see them as a threat. So, therefore, our government can't do shit about climate change, so we should not pump any money into climate change. As an individual person, if everybody went a little bit more greener, that would be a good thing. We might be able to do something.
That's what I'm saying. I think we can slow it down.
But our tax dollars should not be going into any programs that are going to fight climate change because nothing we do will combat the East. Right now they are going through their industrial revolution. Unless we go in there and give them technology, which will never fucking happen.
You know what I just saw earlier?
Do anything, yeah.
And if we're talking about the East, real quick, just on that point, China just announced they're going to have 20 nuclear power plants being built all at the same time to make themselves now the highest nuclear power in the world.
That is the way to combat climate change.
So they might beat us on emissions if that's the case, because we're not getting into nuclear.
We need to get into nuclear.
Your stance on nuclear, Ruby?
I just think we all need to be on the same page.
Okay.
So if we're gonna fight, if we're gonna put money into climate change, then it can't just be this country. We, as the world, have to be on the same page. Because it's not this country that the temperatures are increasing; it's the world that the temperatures are increasing.
But like I said, that would tell us to go into these third world nations.
We're already there.
And give them technology. We don't give people technology at all.
But we could.
You have to come in and take it from us.
No, we could give them technology.
We could, but then they become a
threat.
threat.
Going right into your face.
I think if we gave another country the technology to build cars, electric cars, that's not a threat.
So you are full-hearted against capitalism.
And against patents.
I'm not against capitalism, but you're saying that we can't do these things. I'm saying we can do them.
The problem with is who's getting paid.
What do you mean? The company can still get paid.
Who's paying it? This third world country that can't pay shit?
If Tesla wants to go into China and
out of the good of his heart, he should just go and
give them electric cars.
Out of the goodness of it, who's paying for him?
He's got billions of dollars. He just bought Twitter. I think he's going to be just fine.
Okay, but why are you subjugating him to do the whole climate thing for the world?
He doesn't have to do the whole climate thing for the world, but if...
the man already invented electric cars. What else do you want him to do?
Well, people have to use the electric cars for it to matter.
You
can invent whatever... In this country, and even in this country, it's still not high.
But where are we on the whole lithium battery thing, though?
That's the other part is how...
Or not lithium. What's the...
Lithium.
Is it lithium?
Lithium ion.
It's lithium.
Yeah. So the disasters that are happening from lithium mining are way worse.
Cobalt mining.
Cobalt.
Yeah. Cobalt, yeah.
I think though the mining of it in these third world countries is way more of a pollutant than the actual good that the electric cars are doing.
So you don't want anyone to have electric cars?
I don't think that they are a viable option.
I think they need to find a different way.
Honestly, I think we need to work on nuclear, and we need to figure out how to have a nuclear car.
Well, we need to work... I think when it comes to climate change, we actually need to work on agriculture. Because they're putting a lot out there, and we need agriculture.
Okay, how are you supposed to work on agriculture when one person owns the majority of agriculture in the world?
You gotta have a conversation with him.
I don't think he should have been allowed to do that. Yes.
Is it Bill Gates? I'll look it up. He is the most farmland in America, I believe. Not the world, but America.
I think in America.
I think it's the world.
I'll look it up.
I don't think he should have been able to do that.
Own farmland?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, he can own farmland. I think past a certain point you shouldn't be able to own the majority of land.
The only reason I think that he shouldn't...
Then who's controlling that? Because then it all comes down to then the government is controlling that, but you are against the government controlling things.
I think that there should be citizens. We don't have citizens anymore. We have the government. I think citizens need to take control of this.
But you're a citizen.
Correct, which is why I want to run for Senate, because I am.
But then you're going to be part of the government.
But I'm going to be fighting them from within.
But
my main goal is to go in there and negate the presidency. There is no reason to have that much power for one fucking man.
But the president doesn't have that much power. The
How does he not have that much power?
The president does not have that much power. If Biden can't, whoever the president is, cannot actually do as much as we think he can do. If Biden wanted to pass stricter gun laws right now, he can't.
The president single-handedly shut down the entire country.
Well, first off, this president was not.
I'm not saying.
When COVID
I'm not saying Biden. I'll say it right up. Trump shut down the entire fucking country
for like 1 week, and no one listened to it.
For 1 week, New York was shut down for 6 to 7 months.
That was also the governor's choice, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also a Democrat.
Yeah.
But no one person should have the power to tell you when you can and cannot go outside.
I think what you're saying is that even just centralized government in general is not working, and the citizens themselves need to be able to have the power to outside of their representative. Because again, maybe you live in a place where your representative doesn't even represent your own values. How are you supposed to believe that that person is going to be able to go do and keep someone accountable as you think? The Bill Gates one, like he owns, so it's just America. He's the highest one in America, and why I thought that was just fucking strange because he's the one who's into fucking lab-grown meats. So it's like, why are you buying farmland if you're also into these lab-grown meats? It's like the centralized of control. Yes. There shouldn't be too much power into these fucking billionaires and these people like him, even Musk. Like, they have just a ridiculous amount of fucking power and wealth, and there shouldn't be that much power and wealth in politics at the same time. Just needs to be evened out a little bit more accountability.
I think we need to limit government power because as soon as government gets involved, the price tag goes up and efficiency goes down.
I don't disagree with that, but you can't dismantle the government, and you're saying like, I want to run to ruin it from within, but
not ruin it. I want to change it.
But one person isn't going to be able to change it.
Correct. That's why I'm on this podcast.
But we're not changing it
either. That was
either.
deep.
We could be.
We're not.
Not right now. This goes viral. We hit 5 million people. Maybe we change something.
I guess I'm saying I don't want to change it. I'm okay with the government controlling not everything, but a lot of what they're controlling right now.
So in the climate change aspect, though, do you think that the government needs to control like what people decide to own? Like California is saying you have to get rid of all of your gas stoves by 2030 because you need an electric stove. But that also means that they can just turn your fucking lights off because they have rolling blackouts. Then what? You can't feed your family? Like, how far does it go where the government tells you you can own this thing and you can't own this thing?
I think I think that that's taking it too far. But I do think that when there is a virus killing people, the government can say, put on a mask.
Well, you guys are definitely not going to agree on that one, but I mean, we can roll it into the climate.
Because you want the citizens to control everything, but I don't trust a lot of our citizens.
Okay. So that's what it comes down to. That's the main difference between both parties. I think that is the main
difference, is that we are agreeing on a lot of these issues, but you just don't want the government to control it.
I don't think that it should be a normal, everyday citizen. I think that it should be at least a well-informed person. So I think that if you have the gumption to go into politics, there should be a clear road of how to get there. Right now, there isn't. We are literally I am flying by the seat of my pants, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing to try to become a senator of this great nation. That should not be the case. There should be a clear-cut rules and regulations of how to do this. There shouldn't be a fucking mandatory minimum of that I have to raise in donations that could fluctuate no matter what time it is during the election process. Right now it's $5,000. By the time I have the $5,000, they could bump it up and say, "Oh, you needed 20." Like it's real.
That's how it usually goes. Especially when you said you wanted to run as a Republican, it's smarter. Like you either run as a Republican or Democrat, because in New York you have to have, I think, 25 signatures, just 25 signatures.
Yeah.
To run as a Democrat or Republican, but to run as an independent or a libertarian or anything else other than those two, you need 50,000, and then I think they bumped it up to 100,000. And like you said, when you get 100,000, they go, "Oh, never mind, we changed it to 200,000 like the day before," so then they don't go on the ballot.
Right.
It's just that the process. You're right. It is incredibly tedious for a reason.
And it's probably tedious for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's also tedious so that you have to go through this. You already have to be of money to be in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
You want to be in politics? Guess what? Now you're making $75,000.
Yeah, if they lower the amount that you could make to the minimum wage of what is made in that state, no one would fucking be in it.
Nobody would care.
Or just limit the amount that you yourself could take in donations from all of those lobbyists that we had talked about.
I mean, Obama didn't have a lot of money. He became the president.
He was already in Congress. He was making money.
Yeah, he was. But I'm saying to get to Congress, it's not like he came from a political family.
But where did his money come from?
It was all donations.
From who?
People in this country.
I don't think it was just people.
He did
PACs.
So
yeah, no, it was. I'm not. It definitely was super PACs and all that. But you're saying that you have to have money in general, and I'm saying he, as an individual person, did not have money
for PACs, so that he had to vote the way that the PACs wanted him to vote. So he took in those donations so that he could become president. I don't want to do that. I want to be completely all my own.
Well, you're not going to get into politics that way.
That's what I'm saying. Why not?
I don't disagree with you. I'm just simply telling you if you.
We're gonna try. I think I got a great fucking slogan.
What is it?
Viking Santa.
Yeah, well, that's not your slogan, is it?
Or do you want presents? Because I'm bringing both, bitch.
I don't know if I'm voting for you.
You don't have to vote for me.
All right, so one of the things I'm going to pull back on Obama, because you had mentioned it, and I think a lot of politicians are similar.
You don't like the slogan?
No.
No? I thought it was
You knew you weren't going to attract any liberals onto your side with that slogan. Come on. I got blood and I got presents.
Nah.
Which one you want? Which one is? That's what it was. He goes, "I'm Viking Santa. I got blood. I got presents. Which one you want today?" Because I'm bringing both.
You're trying to come at this that you're like this big conservative Republican, but you're not.
I don't. I say that I'm running Republican because that's where I think I can win. But I have very much centrist views. I am centered on most of my things.
So Obama, I would say on the grassroots, he was a grassroots politician.
Okay.
But he also did while he was there, the Citizens United versus the SEC, or I think it was just Citizens United versus the election. Yeah, the election commission. They just basically ruled during this decision that corporations have an unlimited amount of money that they can send to people because they're technically considered people, so that they're represented. If you and me, if any three of us wanted to go donate, we can donate to a politician because we're a person. Before that, corporations had to kind of like dance around the thing, and like, you know, individual owners like those guys had to donate. Now it was unlimited. They're people. That happened during the Obama, like right before the re-election happened. So the first election, I think you're right. He almost did come out and he had this bold vision until he realized that who's really fucking running the goddamn show.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is like I think it's naive to go in there and say like I can run and change things.
Oh, he's trying. What were you going?
Why is that? Isn't that ambitious?
It is ambitious. There's a lot of characteristics, but it's also naive.
But why is ambition also naive? Like, I have ambitions to do something for my country. I hope that as I go through this process and I learn all about what's going on, that I can provide some insight of the common man and be like, why are we doing this?
Correct. And I do think someone like you should run. I even support you running because I do think that you come from a place of being center, but you're not going to get... We have a country of checks and balances. You can't just go in there and say, I want this to change, and it's going to change.
100%. I have to advocate for it. Right now, there is nobody advocating for change. They are advocating this way or this way. There is nobody coming to the middle saying, hey, why don't we sprinkle a little bit of both? And everybody's happy.
I mean, I don't know. Biden's pretty center. You might think that he's super left, but he's pretty center. He didn't go in there and forgive everyone's loans, which everyone said that the left was going to do.
But he says he will.
But he also
he talks like he's not center. He talks very non-center.
Legalize weed like he said he was gonna.
That's another one that I've
tried. He didn't. He also went in there. Everyone said he's gonna again take everyone's guns. Hasn't happened. So
he also can't speak.
It seems like. Well, I'm not getting into that one, but it seems like. Everyone wants to make him out to be this big leftist guy, but he's
I don't think he is
relatively center.
Yes. He never was left before he became president.
Yeah. You know what I have a problem with is that he garnered all of the leftist votes with everything that he was saying through the campaign.
Correct.
And then went in there as a center.
Correct.
If you're gonna fucking campaign on what you say, that's fine. And if you're gonna do what you campaign on, that's fine. But if you're gonna go and campaign to get all of these votes and then immediately switch. Like the governor, what was it, Tennessee? Fucking, she ran as a Democrat and then flopped as a Republican. That can't happen.
No, I agree, but
that's exactly what Biden did.
Democrats are also upset with Biden.
100%, but they're also going to try to re-elect him.
Well, what's my other option?
Robert F. Kennedy.
I don't know.
Oh, no. We got to go on to the next topic before we get off on RFK. Okay. I mean, we can bring him up after if you want.
What's the next topic? Let's hear it.
But I want to say real quick, when you guys were great on that last point, because I think that's exactly why you need more than just one political party, because someone can run on one side of the left and one side of the right as a populist or as just a center or whatever. There are political parties out there that are like that. There's the Constitution Party. That's very right. There's the Republicans who are more neocon in the middle. They'll do whatever that pays them. Democratic Party is the same way. There's socialists, there's Green Party, there's libertarians. Why don't you just have all of the options there in front of you and then decide, because people's views are so fucking different. And if you're not holding anyone accountable, they don't need to be held accountable. Those people have some pretty fucking good ideas in all of those parties. But I digress. We got 3 topics left, guys. What do you think? We feeling good?
Let's do it.
We having fun?
We're always having fun.
All right, cool.
I hope I haven't offended you yet.
I don't think so.
Time to offend some people.
I don't think so? Oh boy. Time to offend some people?
Abortion.
Okay, this I'm telling you, this is I have such an open mind. I think we've come to agreement a lot.
Yeah.
If you are against abortion, we're not going to agree. I'm just putting that out there.
After first trimester.
All right, here we go. Here's the question. Since Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade, abortion has been a hot button topic in the United States. What is your stance on abortion? And Ruby is up.
I think women should be able to have an abortion. I don't think there's much more to say that. If you are trying to tell me you're pro-life, which means that a woman should have to carry a child that is not living and get septic before they get treatment, then you're not pro-life.
So I agree with abortion. I think there is a point where you need to stop.
Sure, you shouldn't be able to have an abortion at 36 weeks with a viable fetus. Fine.
After first trimester, you know you're pregnant. You should not be able to abort your baby after first trimester.
I don't know that every woman knows they're pregnant in their first trimester.
Okay, but if you don't know that you're pregnant after your first trimester, what is the probability that you're going to know you're pregnant at 36 weeks?
Well, there's so much. Your first trimester, you're not even showing.
Is that 12 weeks, right? Is the first trimester?
Yeah. And I think most women at somewhere between 8, 12, 16 weeks probably know. But the 6-week ban, I do not think most women know they're pregnant at 6 weeks.
That's ridiculous. Because we didn't know. So the reason that I agree, I'll give you a full story. The reason I agree with abortion is because my wife had to have one. She had an ectopic pregnancy, so therefore she had to have the abortion drugs, which ended our viable pregnancy if it wasn't in the fallopian tube.
But that's correct, but an ectopic pregnancy is not viable.
Correct. But she had to have the drugs. So therefore, I cannot sit here and say that...
Which saved your wife's life.
Correct.
Because had she carried that, she would have died.
Yes. And I'm glad that she fell down the stairs, which didn't cause it, but she fell down the stairs, and we had to go check it out, and that's how we found out. But therefore, if she had the drugs, I cannot say that you cannot have the drugs. But I think at a certain time, you should have figured it out, and you should have made a decision within 12 weeks. Because 6 weeks is too short, I agree, because that is 2 weeks after your missed period. Most girls, I understand, don't know. They fluctuate even. Like,
a lot of people don't even get their period every 4 weeks.
Yeah. So my wife is a prime example. Sometimes it's fucking every 3 weeks. Sometimes it's every 9.
Right.
Who the fuck knows?
That's what I'm saying. You go 9 weeks without your period, you may not even think something's going on yet. Or you're just starting to think something's going on.
Correct. But then you start realizing something's going on.
Correct.
So past 12 weeks?
But that gives you 3 weeks to get into the doctors. Problem number one.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back. Keep it going.
So let's say at 9 weeks you're like, okay, this is too weird, right? Like I've missed it too much. This is the most I've gone. So you go to Walgreens, pick up a pregnancy test. It's positive. Okay, great. You call your doctor. They're like, we can get you in a week and a half. You're not getting in the next day.
But are people that see? This is where I might not know, but are people calling once the pregnancy test is positive, are people calling their doctors or immediately going to fix it?
Well, you can't immediately go to fix it. You have to have an appointment. You have to find someone who's willing to do it. Not all OBGYNs are willing to do it. There's actually a lot who refuse to provide an abortion, and that is in their right to do so. Yeah. So, first off, you have to find someone who's willing to do it. Currently, you have to be in a state that you can get one at 9 weeks. And then you have to, call your doctor. They have to confirm the pregnancy. You can't go off the Walgreens pregnancy. You go there, you take a pregnancy test. Okay. They have to confirm it. Okay. You'll probably do an ultrasound to see where it is, right? Because if it's not in the, in the uterus and it's in the fallopian tube, we have a different issue. Yeah. So all that takes time. Then you can't just walk in and say, I want abortion. First off, you have to get the pregnancy test at the doctor's office, confirm it with an ultrasound. Then you get handed your choices. Okay. Then, for the abortion, you don't get it that day. You gotta schedule another appointment. There's all these other patients. You can't just walk in and say, I want abortion. And in a lot of states, you need a 24-hour waiting period before you even can come back with a decision. So that's another day.
So where would you cut it off?
I was somewhere between 12 and 20. Maybe 18. 18? Somewhere between that.
I just think that there needs to be a cutoff point.
But there is a cutoff point. In New York State, you can't get one after, 22 weeks?
Okay. I'm fine with that. As long as there's a cutoff point.
You're fine with that, but you're voting for the party that is not fine with that.
I'm not voting for anybody.
But you did. You voted for the party that was that is saying that 6 weeks. You voted for that party.
I understand that, but against everything else, they were the better option.
But they weren't. Okay, well, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is I think every woman should have an access to an abortion.
I think so too.
That's what they 100%. Choose.
I think that. So the where I draw the line is if people have multiple abortions multiple times a year. So if you're using this as birth control, I have a problem.
I don't disagree, but it comes back down to what you said about the guns, is that if people want to do something, they're going to do it, whether it's legal or not legal. So if you don't want someone to have 6 abortions a year, if you want to say you can only have 3.
The problem is
who's doing that? The government?
The problem is I think it's pretty factual that the people that are using abortion as birth control are also living off of the system. So therefore, who's paying for the abortions? My insurance premiums go up because I have to pay for that abortion. So if you are going to use abortions as a birth control, I have a problem.
I also have an issue with that.
Get birth control or use contraceptive.
I also have an issue with that. But then, we have to have a conversation about birth control then, and it has to be more accessible.
Agree.
Which it's not.
Agree.
Always. And then
I think more contraceptives need to be more available.
Correct. So we have to stop
control.
putting, abstinence as our statement, and say
I agree.
people.
It's not realistic.
And say
with
people
porn
are
a click away.
correct.
It's not realistic.
And say
100%.
people are having sex. So instead of preaching abstinence, maybe give someone a condom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And teach them how to use
So
it.
this goes into our another topic.
Education.
So I'm not gonna,
Yeah, okay.
But I will say this, that you had mentioned, who's going to say that? Is the government going to tell them? In a way, yes, you could just write a law or make some type of compliance thing that if you're in a clinic, especially if it's, because I think it shouldn't be as governmentally funded. I don't think anything really should be, but I think if you make a law and just say, hey, you can't give someone this, 3 or more times a year or something like that, something that's like actually has a health benefit to the person too as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look, this is a part of it. Like, if you're getting it, and again, if you want to do subsidies, do it, whatever. The government says if you do that, we'll give you extra money to not, have that. But it's also not just saying, like, no one can get one.
Yeah.
Because it's unrealistic.
Or you have to be at 6 weeks, which is not realistic.
It's not. I totally agree.
Yeah, the Florida law is fucking...
Yeah, I am totally in agreement that I think there should be a cap on the number that you should have a year. I know it sounds barbaric, but I think there should be. And I think that it should be, you said 18, maybe it's 22 for New York right now. Maybe it's 22 weeks, but there needs to be a cap because you can't be using your pregnancy, and this is just my personal opinion. I don't know if it's true or not, but in my vision, they are using this pregnancy as a way to keep a man or as a tool to get at the man. Because no matter what, a girl and a man made that baby. And if there is any inclination of whether or not you're going to have this baby or not, it's usually up to both of them. And sometimes the girl uses it as a tool for power.
Isn't that like all like though through mankind? Like that's like almost the initial part of like why men fought over women
there
to
is
reproduce.
a cap, and like there's no state where you can have an abortion at 36 weeks. So there is a cap in every state, and some it's 6, and some it's 22.
Yeah.
So I think we've already, like, I guess that's not a point of debate because it's already there.
I also think we need DNA testing at every pregnancy. So
the part of it being used as a tool, I guess, I don't know how a woman would be using an abortion as a tool, because if the man doesn't want to be responsible, wouldn't he be pro-abortion?
In most cases, but I mean, in some cases aren't.
Trying to screw over the man and say, I'm going to have the baby.
There's still cases where women do have abortions, and the guy is the one that would be like, I actually wanted to keep my baby.
There are.
It still comes down to the decision. I think in most cases is the control of the woman because it is their body, but it does.
Do you agree that
it's like a 49.99% responsibility of the man, but you're still 50-50 on creating a life. You know what I mean?
Are you in agreement with
like the man has to sign off on
that can sign off on it?
Can or has to?
Well, it has to sign off on the abortion.
Absolutely not.
Okay, but do you think that he can sign off his rights?
Yeah, sure, he can sign off your rights whenever you want.
Okay.
But I absolutely do not agree, whether you're in a relationship or not, that the man has to sign off on your abortion.
Okay, but then he should be able to go to court and relinquish his rights as a father.
He can. You can sign off your rights as a father.
But you still have to support that kid.
Not if you sign off your rights, you don't.
I don't think that's true. Because I'm pretty sure that the mother can still go back to court and say, I need money for the kid.
Family law in most cases supports the mother.
Yeah. Because
the mother is the one that ends up stuck with the child. The mother's the one that's carrying.
Well, she's the one who carries it.
Who's carrying the child.
She gets stuck with the child. She had 50% decision of making that child. She doesn't get stuck with the child.
In most cases.
But that's not true in every case.
Yeah, some cases aren't.
That's not true in every case what you're saying either. She doesn't get stuck with the child. Most of the time, women, I full-heartedly agree, fight for their children. So therefore, you don't get stuck with the child. You fought for that child. And if you're in a fighting situation, then yes, he needs to fucking pay because you're fighting it out.
No, we're talking about two different things. You're talking about in family law.
Correct.
Yes, the mother's fighting for their child. They're not stuck with their child.
Oh,
I'm saying in the abortion case, the mother's stuck in terms of the mother's the one that's carrying it. So I don't think you need your partner's permission because you're the one stuck, as in the baby is stuck in your body.
Okay, okay, I agree.
It's nine months that you have also sacrificed to your body.
are taking sole responsibility of aborting or not aborting that child.
Correct.
I can take sole responsibility of being or not being a father.
Correct, but they do that. A lot of men leave.
But they still have to support the baby. This is where the family law comes into it. The mother can still go to the court and say, I can't afford this baby. Give me your money. And they have to pay or they go to jail.
But I think you can relinquish your rights.
You can relinquish your rights, but not your monetized rights. Your money is always good.
Garnishments that's the thing is most men, they're like, well, if it was up to my decision, and I think a lot of cases it usually is. The woman keeps it. She wants to keep it. The man doesn't. He's not with her. And then they also have to pay. It was her decision to do it. It's the one there is no equal view when it comes to children, at least in most cases, because you're going to get garnished either way.
I guess I'm trying to understand. You're saying that so now we're not talking about abortion. You're saying that the woman does not want abortion. She wants to keep the child.
No. I'm saying either way. You're taking sole responsibility of either having or not having this child.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can take sole responsibility of having or not having this child. Why can't we have it both ways? You say that you have the 100% choice of getting an abortion.
Correct.
No matter what I say, no matter what. So therefore, why can't I do the same thing? And you're saying you think that you can, but money-wise, you cannot. You cannot be a part of that child's life because the mother won't let you to.
The one football player, he had 8 kids through 9 different women? The other way around. 9 kids through 8 different women. So somehow they got 2 of those combined. And I think that's why he kept playing football for so long. But
because if we want it your way, then you can just knock women up and leave them every 2 days.
I'm saying that if you're going to take responsibility, take responsibility. You aren't stuck with that child. You made the decision to have that child. If we're gonna fight for abortion, then you have to fight for me on this.
But if you are together and you made the decision together to have the child.
If you made the decision together to have the child, you're not making the decision to have an abortion. So what's the issue?
Because you're saying that, like, if you are deciding to have the child, then you shouldn't turn around and be able to sue the father for money. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But if the father was in favor of it, I think there should be more. Again, this kind of comes to government control, though. You have to have a government control.
I'll explain it better. So if you say that you can get abortion without me saying it, without me signing off on it, saying I have 0% say in whether you have or don't have this child.
Correct.
Therefore, if I am a man, put myself in the woman's shoes. If I have 100% say of whether I'm going to have this child or not have this child, why can't I have the same say that you have? Because you are making the decision for yourself whether you are going to not have this child or have this child. Why can't I make that same decision? Therefore, if you have the child, because you had 100% discretion, you are not stuck with the child. You had the
correct. You chose to have, yes, you chose to have a child.
Yeah. Therefore, if I was pro-abortion, if I did not want to have the child, I should be able to sign away my father rights and any money that you wanted. Because you had the right to say, I don't want this kid. But why can't I have the right to say, I don't want this kid and he doesn't get any money? Because you could have gone and not had any money taken away from you if you went the abortion route, if I was for it. But you decided that you wanted to have the kid. Whatever the decision is, whatever it is, you wanted to have the kid, that is solely your responsibility if I wanted to have the abortion.
I think if that's the only way we're going to get people to agree on abortion, then that's fine with me.
I just thought of an amazing movie idea while you're going through that. A left-leaning guy, like who's pro-abortion, who's pro-choice, knocks up a pro-life woman.
Yep.
And he's like, well, you have the right to make that choice, and then he's so pro-abortion or whatever, and she doesn't want to keep it, and then he ends up having to pay a ton of money because he didn't want the kid. Maybe it's not as funny as the movie as I thought it would be. But like it's, I can see that happening.
Drama.
I was gonna say it could be it's a drama.
I don't know if it's a comedy.
Maybe comedy drama. I don't know, but yeah,
you would be the quick quick-witted guy in the crowd of the courtroom or something.
Yeah, I was thinking like that maybe it happens more often than you think.
If you want to give up your right, that's fine, but then that has to be a conversation that happens
prior to being born.
So you can't do that.
Abortion, the same conversation.
Everything has to be done at 16 weeks.
Yeah,
let's just say that.
Before the abortion even happens, all of this has to be negotiated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I just don't think you can screw it out at the end.
No.
So that's fine. If that's the only way I can get my abortion, fine with me.
All right.
That's all.
As long as
that's all men really need is because, and that's why I'm an advocate for DNA testing. Because first off, we don't know if these hoes are having our fucking kid.
Well, but I just think you're talking about a certain population, and there's
Have
many
you seen
people.
These videos on YouTube, there are dozens dozens upon dozens upon dozens of girls that go on these fucking YouTube videos that are just straight skanks.
I think you're just watching, again, a very, very, very small population. There are many people in marriages who are monogamous that need an abortion.
Yes. No, I know what you mean. I think in cases, though, of those people who sleep around, I'm going to have to assume, like, especially nowadays, if they're having a kid, they're probably more than likely going to get an abortion anyways. Like, they're just never going to get to the point of, like, who the father is, probably because they're like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Like, if they could be in a relationship, they couldn't be in a relationship. They're like, I don't really know who the fuck it's going to be. But, I mean, on the DNA testing side of things, I mean, I think that would have to come into effect if the guy himself was like, look, I was against this. Or if he was like, I'm not, in certain cases where it's like, look, I have to have the paternity test to just prove that I don't have to owe this money. But when it was proven that it was you, it shouldn't get to that point.
But what about the people that go on and be a father figure for the kids, and then something happens medically and you find out that for 19 years of your life that you've been father for this kid, it's not your kid.
But it still is your kid.
You still raised it.
Okay, but it's not your...
But a stepfather...
But it's not your bloodline.
It doesn't...
But doesn't that fucking hurt? Doesn't that hurt? Like, you have no idea what it is. You will never have the idea of this is not my kid.
Yeah, I mean, in a way,
like,
it happens a lot.
I can't even fathom of going through life for 19 years thinking my son is my son, to turn around and say, oh, it's this other dude's kid and I've just been taking care of him.
I don't understand that. I'm just saying I don't really understand how that plays into after 6 weeks you can't have an abortion.
No, I'm just saying we need DNA testing. If we have a kid, you need to have DNA testing immediately.
That's fine. I don't disagree with that. My issue is that in many states...
It had nothing to do with abortion.
Okay.
My bad.
My issue is that in many states...
6 weeks is too...
They're saying they're pro-life, but they want women to go septic and die before having an abortion.
No.
Yeah. We agree on lockstep on that.
I don't think rape victims should have to have the fucking child. I don't think anybody that has a medical dire to have it shouldn't be able to have it. I think...
Incest.
Like, I think all of these things are rightful arguments to have it.
Yeah.
But like I said, you
just don't want it to be used as birth control.
Yeah.
Birth control, and I think there should be a cap.
Right.
And you said there is a cap, and I'm fine with whatever cap that doctors deem necessary. I'm fine, but there needs to be a cap.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we'll move on. We have 2 left, folks.
All right.
Let's go with education. We mentioned this one before.
Oh boy.
Well, we can just roll in from our last conversation.
We got
a question.
I would just do a quick question, but you guys get carried away either way. And I threw it in there because we haven't mentioned it once. COVID-19 has no doubt had an effect on the current state of education and the continued downward trend in test scores for students in the United States. What changes, if any, would you make to public education in America? I think we're up to Beejapheth actually being first.
Rip it down.
Okay.
We need to...
Bold. Speaking of rip it down, can I get one of those?
Yeah. We need to figure out a new education system. We are not giving these kids a way to go into society nowadays with a good education of how shit actually fucking works. Everybody that goes through high school, and then if you are lucky enough to go through the college situation, once you hit the real world, you are not prepared. You get drugged through the dirt like a motherfucker. We need to get more incorporation of what actually goes on in real life. Like, I think we need to realize how we do our taxes. We need to know just basic essentials of life, how to start a fire, how to change a tire. We need to go through the whole fucking education system and start from scratch, because this shit that we're putting out is bullshit, and we're getting a lot of fucking degrees that don't do dick for the society, and then all of these kids are getting into fucking enormous amounts of fucking debt, and then they can't get out of the hole ever because they can't get jobs with these degrees that they got. So we just need to revamp the entire fucking thing. I don't know how to do it. I would take experts, because I'm not an expert. I'm just a dumbass. So I would need to get like I would want the teachers to figure out, because they're the ones interacting with the kids, so they would have the best sense forward, I think.
Okay,
I mean, I agree. So I think there's a lot of issues with our public school system. I also think like we built the curriculum before there was the internet, so we're asking kids to like memorize dates, when in the real world you're really never gonna have to memorize a date. It's not about like when did the Civil War happen, which I think is like a history question.
Yeah,
it's like, when did the Civil War happen? Who was on what side? When I think the question should be, why did the Civil War?
That's another topic.
Why did? Okay, well we're not getting to that one. I think maybe the question should be more so, why did it happen? Because in our world, you're going to be able to look up the date.
Yeah.
So why are we asking someone for just like rote memorization? Why aren't
dates, sites, battles, dates and places, Jeopardy questions.
Yeah, why aren't we putting more into like, why did it happen? How do we prevent another one from happening? Like, where's more of like the critical thinking? And then also, of course, like, why don't I know how to change a tire? Why don't I know that? Yeah. Do you know how much education I've gone through? Why do I not know how to change a tire?
Yeah. It's a good point.
Like, I don't understand.
I do your own taxes. Like, shit that you would have to be educated in doing yourself as a mechanic or as an accountant. Yeah. You just don't know how to do it as a regular person.
So, I think we need to... So, every year you hear about the art and band and all the creativeness in school getting cut. All of the other subjects should have been cut, and the creativeness needs to be brought back in. We need to get the next Van Gogh. We need to get more artistic ability into the society.
People's fucking physical education gets cut in most cases. In some schools that can't afford it, like they don't have that.
But you also just said that people are getting degrees that they can't find a job in, and like art is one of those degrees.
But you're well-rounded. So I don't think that it should be the only thing you learn, but we need to have more creativeness in. If we have more creativeness, we have more solutions to problems we didn't know we had.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm good with the more well-rounded education. I'm just saying. I guess I'm just like poking a hole in your argument. If you want more band and art, I agree. But also people going and getting a 4-year degree in art and then in all this debt and then can't find a job is also this.
I also think you shouldn't go to college at this point in time. It does nothing for you.
I think you should go to college if you know what you want to do.
Or if you have a position that you need a degree in.
18 years old, do you know what you want to do?
I don't think a 45-year-old knows what they want to do.
Exactly.
But if you're willing to commit to a career path and you're saying, I'm willing to do this, and you need a degree for that, you should be able to do that. I think the issue is you don't need a degree for a lot of the jobs people have. So I don't understand why we spent $200,000 to get drunk every weekend for a job that you're going to learn in the first 6 months being on the job.
Yes. Some jobs, I'm just going to say though, like some degrees that you get or some jobs that you want to have do need a degree to be a lawyer, to be a doctor,
need to go to law school,
to all of those types of things. But to anything else outside of that, the majority of those degrees are meaningless. Business degrees, what the fuck is a business degree to be?
To do an entry-level job at, let me try and think of
anywhere
big company.
Any corporation where you're doing data entry or
to
fucking
do data entry
sales,
Microsoft,
like that kind
I
of thing.
don't know why you need a 4-year degree.
So you do agree with standardized testing then?
Do I agree? Like the regions?
Well, there is some sort of
like the SATs.
Yeah, there is some sort of test you have to go through to get into college, correct?
Yes, you have to standardize something, but you also can like buy yourself a good grade on the SATs.
How do you do that?
Well, if you are rich, you get a tutor who tutors in the SATs and sits with you 2 hours every week and teaches you how to.
But that's just to be a good test taker. There's nothing to be how smart you are.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like, so I agree you have to standardize something, but it's also been proven that like people with money do better on the SATs because you learn how to be a good test taker and like beat the test.
Yeah. It's also, and we had that argument when we brought up.
Like, I think Harvard just got rid of the SAT requirement.
Right, but the thing is that it could actually hurt people from lower communities who are smarter, who don't have the money to get the tutors.
That's where I was trying to get to, is if you agree with I'm all for standardized testing. There needs to be a physical test in order to get into these colleges. Otherwise, you get people that aren't suitable for college that are going to end up in these data entry jobs that are pushed to go into college into something that may not even be at that college at that point, but now that there's so many of these people that shouldn't be there, they need to make these special degrees for these people that just aren't that smart. Let's face it. Some people are built for warehousing. I work in warehousing. I don't think I was built... But we need
those people.
Correct. I don't think I was built for warehousing, but that's where I ended up. There are people that were built for warehousing. And yes, those are the ants of our society, and they fucking just are army ants, and they just keep going. They are fucking strong, and they just keep fucking going. They're a bloodline for our country. But they shouldn't necessarily have college degrees. And they shouldn't have been pushed by every single teacher that they need to go to college in order to get better in life.
I agree. I don't think everyone should go to college.
So that's where I'm saying is I don't think...
And then everyone won't be in debt.
Correct. If you went from a high school graduate, because that's all I have is a high school graduate degree, you can get a good paying job.
I agree, but I guess you have to change society's view to get people to change it.
But the government changed the view on society by subsidizing the student loan debt. So it made everybody affordable to go to college so that it just piggybacked onto the government's dime. So the colleges knew that they could keep upping their tuition cost, and it's backed by government dollars. Because we cannot, even in bankruptcy, I have to pay my student loans back because they do not go away.
But in some ways, what that did is it gave an opportunity for someone who would have never been able to afford college to go to college and then go to law school, and that person had to go to college, or else it's just rich people going to law school.
So would you guys agree though that the college system itself just needs to be changed? Because I don't think anyone else can say that.
It should be changed because why is this?
The amount of books and all this stuff, the cost of it.
Why is a state school $8,000 a semester and a private school $60,000 a semester? What is that college doing different?
Oh, that's freedom of choice, and I'm 100% of that. We need fucking choice in our education system.
No, I agree that we need a choice, but it should be cheaper. I don't understand what one school who's giving you the same education costs $8 and one costs $60.
Yeah.
You want the honest answer?
You're just paying for the name.
No, you want the honest answer? The teachers union.
I'm talking about college, not high school.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I would say in any public school, you're right, the union has the majority say over all of it. The parent themselves, at the end of the day, who can't afford to send their kid to a private elementary school or a private high school, they're paying, and everyone's paying the same amount, but you're not getting, obviously, the same education out of it.
Correct. Also, I'm going to run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
What happened?
So go to the bathroom.
Oh, all right.
Is it down here or upstairs?
Upstairs.
It's up, yeah. Up past the kitchen, off to the right. Even though this is Beejapheth's home. We actually have one more after this. We can finish off with a little geopol.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I think that's been productive so far. What do you think? This was the extra topic. I wanted to save it for last anyways. What do you think?
I think it's going well. Do you think I'm getting my point across? I don't know if I'm...
I think you are.
All right.
You know, in a mid-session review, because we are live here on Leaving Earth Podcast. That's Leaving Earth Podcast. Check us out at Leaving Earth Pod on Twitter, at Johnny_Anchors, and at Beejapheth. That's Beejapheth. BEEJAPEHETH. Beejapheth. I had it going for a while there. I'm so fucking dyslexic.
But yeah, I think it's going well.
How do I get this thing from stop spinning?
Spinning.
You see this? I try to put the mic all the way over here next to me like this, and it just makes its way back every time.
I don't think you can. Sorry.
It has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna.
It's weighted that way. If you turn your mic up.
Whatever.
Right.
I'll just keep leaning. I'll just keep leaning.
But yeah, T-Rex said that I'm terrible at I say some shit. And
well, we'll ask Ruby. It sounds like she's coming back in. Do you have that other device?
What other device?
For this?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Pour me another shot.
All right. One man show. We're doing it live. Shout out Sergeant Brubby's crew out there. We see your listeners. Shout out Kieranspiracy, our most recent guest. If you haven't listened to that one yet, it's an absolute thrill to listen to that guy. He was a conspiracy theorist like no other. Started his own cleaning company down in Florida, Conspiracy Cleaning. I did not pour another shot. I've just been riffing off the dead air, but I will pour us another shot right now.
Did you thank Sergeant Brubby and his crew?
I thanked the Brubbies. I thanked everyone down in Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, all the Kieranspiracies, Vermont even. We got listeners out in, our biggest ones are still Washington, but Florida's been popping off. We appreciate you. Would love to listen to you crazy fuckers down there.
And one quick side note on Florida. Anybody that lives down there, please go to the FWC website and blast them all to hell. There is no reason to fucking go in and kill somebody's goddamn snakes like that. That was just horrific.
Oh, shit. I didn't even see that.
We will, coming soon is Leaving Earth Reptiles, possibly tomorrow.
Wow.
And that might be our first topic because it was so horrendous and we need to make a statement.
Okay. Sounds good. Are we doing Leaving Earth, or are we doing another updates?
No, this is Leaving Earth Reptiles.
You guys are actually... so it's the show.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start off the show with us just talking about what we're gonna do with the show and leading into what the FWC did in Florida.
Fuck.
So the
all
FWC
right.
is for the Florida
Wildlife Conservation.
Conservation.
Let me get your glass. Thank you. You want the tequila again?
Fuck yeah, let's go.
All right.
So I put both bottles. We got a whiskey and we got tequila. That's not a shot, bro. Give me a shot.
My lord. All right.
So I put the tequila and the whiskey bottle.
So you guys have
One topic left?
Yes, you do have one topic
Right.
left.
So I put the tequila and the whiskey on the counter.
Yeah.
The lady behind the counter goes, "So we went to Scotland to Mexico. What's going on here?" And I was like, "Well, this is for me and this is for my brother-in-law."
Oh, we're drinking all over the world. Yeah.
Disney all over the world.
Fancy cars. Well, we were just ripping off a Florida story, I guess, and he has announced that they're going to have a new podcast, Leaving Earth Reptiles. And I guess the Florida Wildlife Commission fucked up. Cheers.
Well, I'm not a fan of Florida, so.
Here we go.
All right.
We got one topic left.
Before we get into the last topic, Ruby,
Yeah.
thank you again for coming down here.
Listen, I am open to hearing everyone's opinion.
You had some fun?
I always have fun.
Well, I struggled to find where I put my phone.
I might as well.
How am I
What were your
explaining
impressions
things
of
correctly-
Beejapheth as a
correctly?
candidate?
I think you're explaining things correctly. It just takes a second. Like I think
Yeah.
you say something, and I'm like, no, and then you explain it, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
That's exactly what
I-
T-Rex says. I do.
I think-
I say something very jarring, and then, but let me explain.
Yeah, because I think you say something, and I'm like, I absolutely don't agree, and then you explain it, and I'm like, okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But
That's why I don't think that I could do an actual debate. I need a long form debate. 'Cause
Right.
I'd get the clickbait.
well, if you're running, you're gonna have to get used to it.
Well, that's why I have my campaign manager.
Yeah.
So that he could help me.
Done a great job. Yeah, I supported one libertarian campaign one time. We got 1.4% of the votes.
Hey.
I'll be your hype guy, but I ain't no campaign manager. We might have to. We have to dip into some.
He will be my campaign manager.
There you go. That's a little bit better. So,
And we'll have, but there will be.
would
no
you be our
mentioning of
special
letter.
advisor? Because they'd have to have some type
Well,
of
you
like
have to have a liberal on.
liberal
right?
advisor, right? Like you'd have to have some type of like
Well, then you can
insight
help.
onto the
Boom,
other
we're going
side.
into politics.
I
You ready?
think people like us I mean, I'm not going in, but I do think more people like us should go into politics.
That was a hard no. Did you hear that?
No, I'm.
It wasn't an immediate no,
I'm
but
there to advise on your campaign, but I just.
I won't even vote for you.
But yeah, I might not be
even
voting.
vote for you.
I might not be voting. Well, you're running as Republican, and Republicans are, saying.
Why do you gotta vote down the line?
You don't have to vote. Listen. I will vote for a Republican, but they have to give on some things.
Okay.
All
right. That's fair enough.
I'm not voting for a Republican that's on for a 6-week ban.
No, that's bullshit.
Just like you won't vote for a Democrat who's saying I'm coming for your guns.
Correct.
I just haven't heard one say
And the problem is that
That was a good one.
there you go. That's why you know what? This has been a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite episodes we've had so far. I honestly think it's great. I say it after everyone. It might be the new layout we have down here. Minus the TV.
The
layout's fucking sick now.
We'll have to get Bear to get an Instagram post on our new layout.
Absolutely. All right. So final topic here. I came up with this one myself. I wasn't on actually the top list of last year's maybe most important positions or issues because most people don't really pay attention to geopolitics. So right now we have world superpowers China and Russia increasingly becoming greater adversaries of the United States, which includes the war in Ukraine and a potential war in Taiwan or somewhere in the east. Who is the biggest threat to the United States and why? We lead with Ruby.
I think we're the biggest threat to the United States.
Wow, I like that answer. That's a good. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't
see
it coming.
Okay.
I think if we. It's just not one reason, but I think we are involved in a lot of geopolitics, and we are involved in a lot of things going on in other countries.
Yeah. Regime changes.
And other countries don't like that,
yeah.
And then they get mad.
Do you believe that we should be?
I think at this point we're so far in, I don't know how we just leave every country at all times. Because they're already mad at us.
Yeah, and you're now leaving the people who don't like you with the resources most likely that you couldn't leave with. And I'm thinking of Afghanistan, but it's also like Sudan, all those places that keep falling. It's just like a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like, should we be scared of Russia or should we be scared of China? I think the reason that they don't like us is because of things we did. And in some ways it's not things we did, in some ways they just don't like us and they want to have control.
Or they're just ascending.
They just want to have
power.
control. Yes,
yeah.
And like it's like a bell curve and you are up and you're down, and in some ways like we're just going to lose our power at some point.
You read Ray Dalio? Seen that? You've seen that bell curve?
I know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
I don't know that I'm like scared of China per se.
Let me put this way before I give Beejapheth the mic back. Because I think you should be scared of China and Russia. They're both unpredictable, but China especially. So that bell curve you mentioned, all the topics that we covered today, education, healthcare, the economy, money, everything, pretty much everything, besides maybe guns, because America is just such a fucking outlier with that. All of that can be mapped and graphed for each rising and falling superpower. And all the way back in time, and Ray Dalio had printed this out through a graph, that all of those things started failing right around the time that another superpower was increasing all those things. So education in China is really good. I'm not 100% on their healthcare, but I think it's probably okay. They're just, they're fucking tyrants about it. Yeah, exactly. I'm not 100% sure on their healthcare and that, but like the education is up. The quality of life for the most part, besides not having freedoms, is up.
But they just control everything.
Right. It's like they can control all that, and they can control the information too. But at the same time, it's like every other power before they were about to decline had all of those issues that we talked about also declining, and that's an easy way to chart. And that's all I was going to say on the China side, because you mentioned the bell curve.
Why should I be afraid of China?
I don't know if you should be
over the world.
Yeah, I don't know if it should be afraid that much of China themselves.
Took over the world.
Right.
Correct.
And we're used to living like that. We're used to living as the top power.
I think we have to
I don't know
adjust
if
that
we're
we're
ready
just
for
not going
that.
to be the top power.
It's going to be tough.
What do world powers do when another one comes into power?
They go to war.
They destroy the first power.
Well, they don't have to destroy it, but they definitely go to war.
The Nazis came to power.
Yeah.
We destroyed the Nazis.
Well, they were not at the world power at that point, though.
We knew what they were doing. We decided to go in when we wanted to go in.
Correct. Which is exactly what I think we should do now. Bring everything home. Everything home. Bring manufacturing home. Bring how we make computers home.
It's gonna cost more money.
That's fine.
It's not fine. We just talked about inflation. No one wants to pay for anything.
But you know what? If you bring all those things back, everybody will have a job to pay for those higher costs.
They won't, because you can work 40 hours a week and not be able to pay for it.
There has to be changes. That's what I'm saying.
There's going to be some concessions if it goes to that way.
If we're on the decline, China's on the incline. And if they become superpower, shit's going to get real fast.
Mostly in the dollar. I think the biggest thing right now is to watch like who is now trading in yen. I think it's yen. Y-U-A-N. It's not the yen. Mm-hmm. That's Japan. Mm-hmm. But more countries are starting to...
Yeah, that was hey,
it's been a long conversation.
We made it this far without bringing racism into it, and I would love to not leave this room by calling both of you racist. So,
all right, that's fair enough. So, the Japs have the yen.
You had to do it. All right.
The Chinese government has been increasing their just the overall trade, and that's what happens when you become more of an economic superpower, which they've become for a while. This just didn't happen overnight. China's been doing this over 10, 20, 30 years.
The way China is doing it is far superior than the way we're doing it. We go in there,
they're smarter,
blazing, saying, "Hey, these people are bad. You need to overthrow that government so that you come into power, and then you are our." Yeah. You do
democracy. We're going to give you democracy.
But the way China comes in and says, "Hey, Africa, looks like you need some roads to get from point A to point B. How about we build you those roads, and then you pay us a little bit?" And they're going into every single country saying, "Hey, we'll build your infrastructure. We'll help your citizens out if you pay us this money." And then they're gaining control of all these little things. And as soon as they have enough control where the U.S. dollar, if it isn't already, is shit, we are fucked. Our economy is going to go right to the fucking toilet. We're going to go to a fucking first world nation, straight to a second world nation. And if we can't pivot, we're going to go to a third world nation. And we're going to lose all of our power. All of our fucking technology won't mean dick. Our podcast won't mean anything. And it's going to be fucking torturous.
And then you're going to want an AR.
And then you're going to want an AR.
No, I don't think I am, because I don't think China's coming guns a-blazing.
No, they won't, but everybody else will be.
They'll come out with their hands out, saying, "Hey, here, come have this."
Yeah.
And all 90% of America is going to be like, "Oh, look, the fruit." And fucking the 10% are going to be like, "I ain't fucking eating that." And then all of a sudden there will be a switch where that 90% fucking says, "Oh, I enjoyed that fruit. All right, but now you owe me something. You owe me that digital ID in your wrist so that we know where you are at all times."
Now you're on a conspiracy.
I hit the bells. I had some bells.
It's in China.
No, you're on a conspiracy.
They do have the social credit scores in China.
15-minute cities. It's in China where you have to scan your face to leave or enter. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. That is what China is doing.
For their citizens.
Yes.
But you're talking about
global domination when it happens? Yes.
And it might not be overnight. Everything takes time. They're not quite surpassed us yet militarily, but they're getting close. Right. The U.S. military is the only thing really holding it together. It's completely honest. The only thing holding us from not already losing all of it, because China's already manufacturing more goods than us. Their GDP, I think, is now higher than us. They're economically better than the United States by far. They're buying the influence, like you said, in those other countries, building them roads, building them infrastructure, gaining allies in places. Brazil just left. Brazil's a huge fucking nation, a huge manufacturing nation, too. And now they're going to start dealing with China more than they would deal with us. All of that is going to have a trickle effect. Mm-hmm. So it won't happen, overnight, but it's when people are like, well, why would you prepare for that type of thing that's never happened before? But, every single empire thought the same thing. The Romans thought the same thing. More recently, the British Empire probably thought the same thing. Yeah. The Dutch before them.
I do think we're going to lose our world power.
It's just a matter of if or when, and then if.
When,
if.
Yeah, I do think we're going to lose it.
And my whole stance is to try and rectify that shit.
Rectify or prepare people for it. Yeah. I always think you could also say plan, hope for the best, but plan for the worst. I don't need it now, but fuck, I might need this boat later. It's good to have it in case I hit a fucking iceberg.
Even if we all have
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not going to take over.
Do you know why?
I don't think anyone should just carry it around, first of all.
Shut up.
I also think that people should carry them.
Do you know why no one has come on this soil since the revolution?
Because of our military.
No, because of our guns. Because of the citizens' guns. We have more guns per capita. Do you want to invade a country that has more guns than
a lot of
people?
citizens strapped.
No, I think it's because of our military.
It's definitely because of our citizens have guns.
Well, it's both. It could be both.
Our military is only good for nuking people nowadays. Our military does dick for our world leaders. Our world leaders will go ahead and send 1 million fucking people to die, and they don't give a fuck. Nuclear weapons are the only thing that matter at this juncture. Yes, I know that people are dying, and yes, that sounds cruel, and I'm sorry that sounds cruel, but the world leaders do not give a fuck about the people that are going to get drafted because of the wars that they're putting us through. They don't care. They only care about nuclear power. And if a nuclear bomb goes off, that's the end of the world. And that's all that they care about.
Correct.
So our military means dick. You can have all of the subs, you can have all of the tanks, you can have all of the guns. Without the citizens having the guns, we would be sitting ducks. Because our military means dick. China would send however many planes it would take to just bombard us to take over if we didn't have guns. They don't care about how many people that die. They would just send 1 billion people, just throw fucking people at it, just like Russia does at every war. That's how Russia says they won World War II. They just threw fucking
a meat
1.2
grinder
million people at it and said, "Hey, we won." And that's exactly what they're doing at Ukraine.
They're not winning.
And they're not winning because they suck. Because all they know is to throw people at it. And the only thing that they have backing them that why we don't invade or do anything else is because they have silos with nuclear weapons. Anything that is military that you think is stopping people from invading is bullshit. Because Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine had fucking military, as little as it may be.
But it was a little military.
As little as it may be, they had military.
They had more shit there than you think.
And if you think we are the world's strongest military now, that is by far mistaken. China has surpassed us in that too. That's the problem. We have the most nuclear weapons. That's what makes us the superpower. That is the only thing. Now they're opening 20 nuclear plants. We're fucked. We need to start thinking of shit to fucking counteract this bullshit. We need to start thinking of things way different than we did before. This geopolitical shit where we're overthrowing regimes, we have medical labs in other fucking countries. It's all great and good to interchange fucking information in between people, but us going in there as a military force is not fucking working anymore. We need to rethink it. Whether we withdraw from everybody, which I am in favor of, but we need to do it systematically and we need to do it right. We can't leave these people in chaos because that will just hate us, make them hate us more. Like you said, they already fucking hate us. Let's do some good, get our people fucking out of there in a right way, and then let's work on our shit. Our country is hurting. Our people are hurting. We have more homeless than ever before. We need to figure out that fucking problem. Let's not worry about Ukraine. It was already a part of Russia. I'm sorry, the fucking country is completely corrupt. Point proven, already debunked. It's fucking corrupt. Zelensky was a movie actor already saying that he was going to invade fucking Russia before Russia invaded Ukraine. On tape.
But we have to worry about it because we don't want Russia to become even more powerful. And if they take over another country, it's just more citizens for Russia. So we do have to worry about it.
If we allow them to... So we need to come to the table. I'm not saying we just fucking stop. We need to go to the table. We need to figure out where the fucking endpoint of this shit is. Mm-hmm. If you want Ukraine, all right, but it ends there. Take it. Fuck it.
But it won't end there.
We've known from history that it usually doesn't end there.
If it doesn't end there, then we bring the fucking hammer.
But the thing is we weren't afraid of Russia. We were afraid of the Soviet Union, which was more than Russia. So it's not going to end there. If we say, okay, fine, take Ukraine, then they'll just take another country, and then we end up back with the Soviet. And then we end up
I agree with
where
that.
we were 30 years ago.
It's appeasement.
If we're going to do that, declare war. because you are funding this war without military personnel. You are going in there in a losing battle with this minuscule fucking army that is just getting bombarded with tanks that they don't know how to use. If you're actually advocating for us to save Ukraine, declare war.
Our country won't support it.
Then it doesn't matter. If our country won't support it, then Ukraine is already lost. It's done.
But if we declare war, if we say we are going to be allies with Ukraine and declare war, I don't think a majority of this country is going to support it.
The majority of the country didn't support Vietnam, but we still went to war.
Well, let's put it that way then. If the majority of the country doesn't support it, why are we there in the first place?
Then why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Correct.
You're right. Why are we sending that much money over there?
You can't declare war if you can't.
Well, why are we doing it?
Because you're sending money, people aren't going to think about it. But you want to send troops, which means people are going to die. Americans are going to die, and that is where people are going to draw their line.
But you're already sending money that are just lining the pockets of the 1% over there. Zelensky's getting paid. The top bankers are getting paid. Everybody's getting bonuses.
But Americans aren't dying.
But they're not supporting the war effort. If I'm sending money, if we're sending taxpayer dollars over there to support the war effort, support the fucking war effort.
I agree, but you're saying if we're going to do it, declare war. But if we declare war, we have to send soldiers, and no one is going to be on board with American troops dying.
Then why are we doing it in the first place?
We're not. We're sending
money. There are American troops on the ground right now, I guarantee you.
I'm going to ring the bell, even though I think it has been proven.
I don't know.
There was recently. I know that was it in Sudan?
Yeah, that was in.
There's been Americans there. I mean, I've seen the videos. There's videos that have come out of them with, like they're in Ukrainian like fatigues or like the outfits, but they're speaking pure English with like like Texas accents or something like that. There's private contractors, people who are there, right, or CIA and shit like that are there training and showing them, hey, this is how we do it, like trying to get you down there. So we are there, whether you admit it, we're everywhere.
So
we're fucking everywhere.
We're already everywhere.
Yeah.
So would you rather us abandon Ukraine? So which one would you rather support, Taiwan or Ukraine?
I think if we're going to be involved, you have to be involved in both.
But if you can only be involved in one, which one would you pick?
Why? Why do we have to only be involved in one?
Because we can't support.
Well, just
we can't support Ukraine at this point.
We could technically support both, but if you said what was more important to us, Ukraine or Taiwan?
I think they're equally important. It's the same thing. It's one country. Because again, if China takes over Taiwan, then next they're going to go for Thailand.
So I will say just
stop.
And he told me this on one of our last episodes, that Taiwan is the number one producer in the world in semiconductors. And if it's for U.S. made products, number one, like the 90% of the 90% of the semiconductors that we use in the United States come from Taiwan. I mean, Ukraine has a value in spirit, and like, hey, we want to protect this democratic, and they do have a right to be a sovereign nation. They have a right to have their own territory. They're no longer a part of the Soviet Union. They're no longer a part of Russia. They have a right to defend themselves. But if you're looking at it from like a resources value,
I see what you're saying.
From what I know is they have a lot of
important to us in terms of like
of our day-to-day life. Yes,
sure. But I'm saying in theory, if you're going to support one, you're going to have to support both.
You should support both,
country can't support the one. Right now, it is proven fact we are suffering right now because we are sending this money over to Ukraine.
But we were suffering before Ukraine.
Not as bad as we are now.
We were in the middle of a pandemic. The unemployment rate was higher than it was now. We've been suffering.
100%.
We've also been sending money to Ukraine well before the pandemic. I've been sending military weapons and stuff since there, I think, was it 2014? was when the war actually officially started.
Yeah, that's when they became a sovereign nation.
And I know that we've been sending stuff there even before that.
Correct. We send stuff to a lot of countries.
And that's what I'm saying is we need to stop.
Yeah.
Just in general, stop. I understand where you're coming from, where a country invading another country is bad. I get that. But NATO's been doing it forever.
We've been doing it forever.
We've been doing it forever.
But if you want to stop, then you have to get rid of all your bases.
Yeah, we have a lot of them.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. Give them back. That's actually a really good olive branch to hand out. Here's our beautiful United States military level branch. We're going to take all the things that are crucial to like our secrets and our information, like our intel, and we'll leave it here for you. They're facilities, you know what I mean? Take all the fucking hardware out of there. Take anything that could be hacked. Take all of the, anything that could jeopardize the United States military. Take all of it. I mean, strip it, whatever the fuck, strip everything, and then leave it for the host nation or wherever the hell you were, and say, here you go. Here's our olive branch. We're out of your fucking country now. Here's a brand new United States military. All you need is the software, all this shit that you can bring in and build it as your own. Yep. It's not a bad olive branch to have, just to say. The thing is, like, anytime you do something like that, how it's perceived, and it's like, okay, give them Ukraine. Okay, give them military bases. It's appeasement.
I'm not saying
it's appeasement to your enemy. The enemy's like, sign of weakness. I will now attack.
I'm not saying...
And it goes back to anything. Where's the next chain of command? Oh, now that maybe they will want to invade us. We just gave them all of our fucking overseas bases. So there is no, like, right or wrong answer. It's just, like, prepare yourself for what you have in front of you.
But I'm not saying give it up. I'm saying let them fend for themselves. And the countries around them, if they're worried about it, let them fucking deal with it. We are halfway across the fucking world. If it becomes a problem, then we deal with it. Mm-hmm. Right now, it is not our fucking problem. He already fucking assumes that they just became sovereign in 2014. He already assumes that Russia is Ukraine is Russia.
Who's he?
Vladimir Putin.
Okay.
He already assumes that Ukraine is Russia. Therefore, he doesn't see it as invasion.
He sees it as liberation.
Liberation from the enemy.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to be a Putin sympathizer, but if you look at the track record of NATO and Putin is always saying, yo, stop getting to my line. And NATO is...
They put him there, basically. They put him in charge. Putin in charge after the Soviet Union was done, because he was a capitalist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and they've been slowly creeping up to him. Mm-hmm. So this has been the final straw. Like, listen, you're already on my border, and this is already mine. Stop. Don't give them fucking NATO membership. And now we're giving them NATO membership. Like, the one thing to piss off this dude, we gave them. And if you think we're going to gain anything by supporting Ukraine without sending troops, we aren't. Because the funds are going to get misused like they've already been. And we are sending...
it's a funnel. It's funny money.
Highly sophisticated military equipment over there to these people that get maybe 5 days of training.
Or, at this point, Ukraine isn't that big of a nation. I've thought of this. How long could they actually last without reinforcements from other nations?
Not long.
So, this could get off topic, too, and I don't know where it could go, but Germany just announced today that if there was a draft, gender identity doesn't mean dick. If you're a biological male, you're getting drafted. But they support LGBTQ.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that. But
we
won't go there today. We won't go there today. I think we'll end it on that. But hey, I had a great time with you two down here. Did you have fun, Ruby?
I had so much fun.
I like that name for her, Ruby. I'm going to start calling you that out when I see you in public.
That's good. I don't want anyone to know my identity.
What up, Ruby? Yeah, after this
tonight, you're one of those people.
I don't want anyone to know my identity.
Why? Good. You got your thumbprint on your phone?
No.
You got your facial recognition on your phone?
No.
More than most.
That's really smart, man. We have more in common. She's more careful about that shit than myself. All I did was change my fucking search thing on my phone from Google to DuckDuckGo. Oh, I'm beating the system.
Yeah.
They don't see what I'm searching.
I just think I'm going into a career where people...
Oh, you're definitely at risk.
At risk. I think there's other things about me that make me more at risk.
Dude, we all are.
So that's why, even when I came on here, I was like, that's fine, but I don't want my identity on it, because I think it could all be construed in a way to be used against me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's why we hope it's not that way, and hope that anyone listening to this entire thing and not taking one thing out of context is the whole point. That's the whole point, yeah. Is that we truly believe in an entire conversation. And I thought that was a really good one to have, and a lot of good topics. We went back on some, we went forward on a few of them. It was fucking great.
I
had a good day. It was a good afternoon.
More people need to do this type of shit, and that's what we're all about. That's why we want to do it. We want to have the conversations. Beejapheth came up with the idea. He goes, and you roped me into it, because you're like, people just need to hear you. Yeah. Basically, be a fucking idiot half the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
Too loud for the microphone.
You're charismatic. Charisma. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
might break out into song randomly throughout for no fucking reason. Goodbye, Ruby Blue Girl.
It was a good day.
The liberal at last. Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Good shit.
Thank you for
Good
coming
shit.
on.
No
Thank you
problem.
for taking my idiotness.
No
Yeah.
problem.
She's in the Witta Army now.
Witta
She's
Army?
actually educated though. She's a Weta.
Weeda.
We're well-informed dumbasses, but you're educated, so
You're
a well-educated dumbass.
Just means I spent a lot of money.
Yeah. So you're actually a Weta.
Yeah, actually, I don't know which category.
Weta, and you can actually pronounce them both pretty much the same way, but I don't know. You can really kind
I
of
don't know
roll with
which
it. But
category you want to put me in for that.
well, you're a friend of the show. Anytime you want
That
to
I
come
am.
back
That I
and you
am.
want to join us for an updates on humanity, because that was a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
That was a good.
Yeah.
One.
You got the song queued up? So we
song?
can end on the same note as all the time.
I believe that I can pull it up for you.
At Johnny_anchors. At Beejapheth. That's BeeJapheth.
Beejapheth.
At Leaving Earth Pod on Twitter and now on Instagram. Hit us up on Gmail, leavingearthpodcast@gmail.com. Fucking, let's get some conversations going, motherfuckers.
Conversational that. All right. Thanks for having us, sir.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
inviting me.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me. I had a good day.
Absolutely. This was fun. Take it the fuck easy, everyone.
Peace!
You're still going? Yeah. I like to talk to the end credits.